Shang Ruai held its face with both hands and rubbed it for a long time. "You are so awesome." Xiaobai roared at the tigers, and they lay obediently on the ground, motionless, looking at Shang Ruai expectantly. "This human smells so good." They couldn't help but want to get closer, but the boss had just warned them not to approach this human. Shang Ruai walked up to them and took out a basin full of spiritual spring water. The moment the spiritual spring water appeared, the eyes of more than a dozen tigers suddenly lit up. "That's the taste. This is the smell of this human being.
Drink."
Shang Ruai smiled and said, "As long as you follow me, you can drink this every day." Upon hearing this, the tigers rushed to the water basin to drink water. Xiaobai looked at the group of inexperienced younger brothers with disdain. They had completely disgraced his tiger face. Soon, the basin of water was empty. The tigers licked their lips with satisfaction and looked at Shang Ruai expectantly. This was the scene Yunqi saw when she pushed He Jingheng to the dense forest. A group of tigers were like big cats, lying obediently at her feet. In the middle of the tigers, a woman had a warm smile on her face. The moonlight sprinkled down, and the woman was like a moonlight fairy. Many years later, Shang Ruai found a painting in He Jingheng's study, which showed the scene today. Before they got close, Xiaobai had already smelled their scent. The other tigers also noticed. They looked in the direction of He Jingheng with vigilant eyes. Shang Ruai touched Xiaobai's head and walked towards He Jingheng. He Jingheng looked at Xiaobai and said to Shang Ruai, "Is this the unfamiliar tiger you mentioned?" "Unfamiliar?" Xiaobai tilted his head and looked at Shang Ruai. "Unfamiliar?" Shang Ruai touched the tip of her nose. "We were not familiar with them before, but we are familiar with them now." He Jingheng didn't want to expose her, but smiled without saying anything. Yunqi's eyes almost fell on the tigers, and his chin almost fell to the ground. He thought that it was rare for the crown prince's wife to tame a white tiger before, but what did he see now? As long as he was not dazzled, there should be more than a dozen tigers here. They are all the crown prince's wife's pets. He looked at Shang Ruai and swore in his heart that he would never offend the crown prince's wife, even if he offended the crown prince in the future. The crown prince would at most slap him to death if he was angry, but if he angered the crown prince's wife, he was afraid that he would be eaten by these tigers. "You go back first. I'll go back after I settle them down." He Jingheng knew that she didn't want him to know where these lions were, so he asked Yunqi to push him back. Shang Ruai led the tigers to walk in the dense forest for a while, making sure that there was no one around, and with a wave of her hand, she and the tigers disappeared into the dense forest together. When the tigers arrived in the space, they saw the spiritual spring water. Their eyes lit up, and they ran to the pool to drink water. Shang Ruai chose a place in the space for the tigers to rest. After everything was done, Shang Ruai flashed out of the space. She just took a few steps, and her brows slightly frowned. She suddenly dodged and saw a big stone thrown at her quickly. Fortunately, she reacted quickly and avoided the attack of the stone. Shang Ruai's body rotated a few times, and the silver needle in her hand flew out at the same time. A muffled groan came. Shang Ruai walked forward slowly and saw a very thin man lying not far away. She narrowed her eyes slightly. A dark light flashed in her hand, and a pistol appeared in her palm. "Who are you?" The man struggled for a moment, but couldn't stand up straight. She looked at him in the moonlight for a long time and couldn't help but take a breath. Are you He Jingheng?" She just took 2 steps, and suddenly there was a sound of breaking through the air behind her. A fierce palm wind came. She dodged to the side and pulled the trigger at the same time. The sound of the bullet penetrating the flesh was heard, but the man did not stop. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared with the person who was still struggling on the ground. Shang Ruai frowned. She was almost certain that the person who attacked her was He Jingheng. How could he become like this? Didn't he say that he wanted to trade with the nobles in the capital? Why is he still lingering in this exile place? At this moment, the figure of He Jingheng slowly appeared in front of her. "Are you settled?" Shang Ruai looked at He Jingheng and the other person and said in a deep voice, "2 people just left here. Did you see them? Yunqi shook his head. Never saw them. What happened? I seem to have seen He Jinghe. Shang Ruai repeated what happened just now. He Jinghe hurriedly looked at her clothes and found no blood. He finally let go of his heart. Come back with me first. As for what you just said, I will ask Yunqi to send someone to investigate it. At night, Yunqi walked to his side with a heavy face and said in a very light voice, Prince, our people have lost him. Just as the crown princess said, He Jinghe was rescued by an old man. Our people followed him halfway and found that he had lost his trace. He Jinghe's face was a little ugly. He was able to shake off the people they sent to follow him. His martial arts skills were not ordinary. Prince, should we look for him again? He Jinghe shook his head. No, he can avoid you, which means that his martial arts are far superior to yours. As long as he doesn't want you to find him, it will be useless even if you turn the mountain upside down. If you force a search, there will be a risk of exposure. What should we do? The only way to deal with all changes is to remain unchanged. They are just thieves who covet the ring in their Dingwa palace. The most important thing now is the queen's poison. At this time, Yuntian came over with a note. Prince, the crown prince is also looking for the miracle Dr. Lingjun, and he has also spread the word that as long as the queen's poison can be cured, there is a book left by the medical sage in his mansion, and he is willing to offer it with both hands. Medical sage? He Jinghe raised his eyebrows. It seems that He Lingqi's title of Prince Bao has a great impact on the crown prince. He is willing to give away the books left by the medical sage. Ruai will definitely be interested in the books of the medical sage. He said lightly, send someone to the crown prince's mansion and take out the book. Yuntian was about to ask whether to let the crown prince's consort treat the queen, but he heard the order of his master and swallowed the words that were on his lips. What book? Shang Ruai heard He Jinghe's words when she walked in. Many years ago, a medical saint appeared in the western regions. His medical skills were extraordinary. This book was left by him before he died. He Jinghe whispered, It is now in the hands of the prince. Hearing the word medical saint, Shang Rui raised her eyebrows. If he is really a medical saint, it is really rare. He Jinghe heard her say this and smiled softly. So you like it? Of course. Shang Rui looked at him with bright eyes. Learning has no end. My medical skills are shallow now, so I naturally need to learn more and read more. Yunqi and Yuntian almost choked to death on their own saliva when they heard her say that her medical skills were shallow. Your medical skills are still shallow? How can other doctors survive? How can I get this book? Yuntian's eyes lit up, and just as he was about to speak, he heard He Jinghe say, If you like it, I'll send someone to get it. Get it? She looked at Yuntian's face and knew that it was not as easy as He Jinghe said. What if we get it in the normal way? He Jinghe said nothing, and Yuntian handed her the note. Shang Ruai took a look and immediately understood why He Jinghe didn't tell her. Going to the capital as Lingjun the divine doctor and entering the palace to treat the queen was a big risk. There was no guarantee that her identity would not be exposed. But she must get the book of the medical saint. However, now that the queen has been poisoned, the entire capital will be under martial law. It would be extremely difficult to send someone to get the medical book from the prince's mansion, not to mention that the medical book is used as a bargaining chip to treat the queen. Shang Ruai thought about it and said softly, Why not? I will go there myself. No, it's dangerous. I will definitely not let you go alone. Shang Ruai looked at his legs and said with a smile, I can't go alone. How about the prince accompany me? After a while, He Jinghe nodded. It's not impossible. Yuntian and Yunqi looked at their own prince and curled their lips at the same time. What danger? Afraid of being exposed? It was simply an excuse because he didn't want to be separated from the prince's wife. However, there is a thorny issue to be resolved right now.
Shogun.
Shang Ruai nodded. This man is extremely difficult to deal with. If he knows that we left here without permission and returned to Beijing, no one in the He family will have a good time. At this moment, a guard came over. Master, Zhao Gang has surrounded us with a group of people. Listen, He family, everyone stand against the wall for routine inspection. The Yamen runners beside Zhao Gang shouted loudly. A hint of hostility emerged in Shang Ruai's eyes. This Zhao Gang was really haunting. As soon as she mentioned him, he came to cause trouble. She was about to go out when she heard He Jingheng say lightly, "With this prince here, why do you need to step forward?" As soon as he finished speaking, Yun Tian stepped forward and pushed him out. Nowadays, most of the guards in the He mansion are his secret guards. Among them, Yun Yunqi occasionally shows his face in front of people, so he's been wearing a human skin mask, so he is not afraid of being recognized by others. Zhao Gang was standing outside the door, looking at the plaque of the He mansion with disdain, sneering, "What about the Dingwa Palace? Now that it has fallen into decline, shouldn't you still be well-behaved and obedient when you see me?" Just then, there was a sound of breaking air in front of him, and a feather arrow whizzed past his ear, bringing a gust of wind. He was so scared that he stood still, not daring to move. If the feather arrow had deviated by a little, it would have directly shot through his head. After a long while, he came to his senses. Just as he was about to curse loudly, he saw the door in front of him slowly open. A guard pushed He Jingheng, who was sitting in a wheelchair, out slowly. There were no people from the He family, only the two of them. "He Jingheng, what were you doing just now?" "Assassinating an official." "Do you know what the crime of assassinating an official is?" Zhao Gang said angrily. "I can execute you right here on the spot." "Assassinating an official?" He sneered. "I was just hunting. When did I assassinate an official?" Zhao Gang waved his hand. "What kind of hunting are you doing? Where is the prey? Do you think I'm a fool? You are the assassin." He Jingheng waved his hand, and the guards behind him walked through the crowd, came under a tree, picked up the arrow on the ground, and saw a pheasant stuck on it. Zhao Gang's face suddenly turned pale. He didn't expect that there was really prey. It was a fat pheasant. "Did Lord Zhao see it?" Zhao Gang whispered. "You did it on purpose, just to intimidate me." "Intimidate?" He Jingheng couldn't help but laugh. "If I really wanted to intimidate you, why would I use this method? I remember Lord Zhao seemed to have worked under me, and he should know my style of doing things very well. I never intimidate others. If someone offends me without knowing my intentions, I'm afraid it won't be easy." Zhao Gang knew his methods, and his face changed several times when he heard him say that. If he wanted to deal with someone, he would decide life and death without hesitation. But at that time, he was the prince and the general, and now he was just a prisoner. He was still afraid of him, which made him seem even more useless. Thinking of this, Zhao Gang became even more angry. He must be incompatible with the He family. First, his wife Shang Ruai made him lose face in front of everyone, and now He Jingheng made him lose face in front of his subordinates. If he doesn't teach them a lesson today, how can he survive in this place of exile? I told all of you in the He family to come out for a routine inspection. Didn't you understand? You can understand what I'm saying. It's not impossible to have a routine inspection late at night. Please show us the search warrant. As long as there is a search warrant, our He family will cooperate. Zhao Gang's face darkened. Where did she get the search warrant? Today's inspection was just a spur-of-the-moment idea. Where would he get a search warrant in the middle of the night? It was obvious that He Jingheng was sure that he couldn't get a search warrant, so he said this. "I said I want a search. Even if there is no search warrant, it is the same." Zhao Gang's eyes were full of anger. "If you dare to stop me today, it will be considered as obstructing official business, and I can still lock you up." He Jingheng smiled coldly. "I don't know when the laws of Tianshan were changed. Or is it that you, an official of unknown rank, can disobey the law?" Zhao Gang stepped forward and said in a low voice, "He Jingheng, when you arrive at this place of exile, you'd better put away your prestige as a prince. In my hands, you will be like a dragon coiled and a tiger lying. If you don't obey discipline, don't blame me for being rude." He Jingheng pursed his lips slightly, slowly raised his eyes, and looked at him. "Then let us try." At this moment, Shang Ruai slowly walked out and came behind He Jingheng. "Jingheng, Lord Zhao is an official after all, and we are civilians. If he says he wants to investigate, how can we stop him? Our mansion is so big, who knows if there will be thieves." Shang Ruai's words made Zhao Gang feel very comfortable. "He Jingheng, I didn't expect that your wife is so interested in my feelings." He Jingheng's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Don't think that he couldn't understand his hidden meaning. The knuckles holding the armrest of the wheelchair turned white, and Shang Ruoyi found that the armrest began to deform slightly. She hurried forward and pushed the wheelchair to the side. The tense muscles in He Jingheng's arms slowly relaxed. If it weren't for her, none of the officials and Yamen runners present today would have survived. Zhao Gang walked through the gates of Hades without realizing it, with a smug smile on his face, and sneered, "I have heard that the He family is now headed by Madame Shang, but I didn't expect to see it today. It's true. I never thought that a dignified prince would also be henpecked." He waved his hand and said to the Yamen runners behind him, "Check carefully for me. Is there anything suspicious in this mansion?" "Yes." As soon as the crowd stepped into the gate of the He family, they heard a shrill cry.
"Ah!
Help! Tiger! Tiger! Run away!"
What?
Tiger? Where did the tiger come from? The Yamen runners crawled out. Zhao Gang frowned, and when he was about to go and take a look, a huge white tiger appeared in front of him.
Roar!
The roar of a tiger made everyone present change their faces suddenly. There really is a tiger. How could a tiger appear here? Zhao Gang's face was extremely ugly. What's going on? Shang Ruoyi had a somewhat embarrassed look on her face. I forgot to say before that this white tiger is my pet, but now its beast nature has not been tamed. You must know that it is very difficult to get rid of the fierce nature of the tiger. Now it still likes to eat raw meat, especially fresh meat with blood, which is simply its favorite.
What?
Everyone's face changed suddenly after hearing this. They never thought that Shang Ruoyi, a woman, would like to have a fierce beast like a tiger as a pet. Now that the tiger is blocking the way, even if they have a few courage, they dare not enter the yard. My lord, what should we do now?
What?
What else can we do? Do you dare to go in? Zhao Gang finally understood why Shang Ruoyi agreed to let them go in just now. It feels like she is waiting for them here. It's just a tiger. Although its size is different from other tigers, as long as they have enough manpower, they are not to be afraid of. Just when he was thinking about how to get rid of it, several shadows suddenly appeared behind it. Everyone rubbed their eyes. How could a tiger have so many shadows? At this moment, several tigers walked out from the dark. They shook their huge heads and walked out slowly. There was a fierce light in their eyes, which made people feel colder than the cold wind in the winter night. Hey, these are all your pets? Zhao Gang's tongue began to be unsmooth. Shang Ruoyi nodded. No, didn't you say that you haven't tamed a tiger? Now you have brought so many tigers here, can you train them? It's better to raise more tigers and keep them as guards. Otherwise, all kinds of cats and dogs want to get into our house. Is our He family a place where he can come and go as he pleases? Shang Ruoyi said these words with a decent smile on her face. He Jingheng sat in a wheelchair and listened to her words and couldn't help laughing secretly. Zhao Gang was not a fool. He knew that she was mocking him, but in the current situation, they did not dare to enter the courtyard. Looking at the appearance of these tigers, they did not look tamed at all. Sir, send someone in to check quickly. Don't delay your business. Zhao Gang was so angry that the veins on his head were about to burst. After a while, he said to his men, Can we go in? You can't go in. If you can't go in, then you can't go in. Why are you shouting so loudly? Zhao Gang said in a deep voice. This is to disgrace the entire city defense department. He turned his head to look at Shang Ruoyi and said in a cold voice, Don't think that Yuhi family can scare me with a few tigers. If I want, I can wipe out all these tigers. Really? Then Sir is really amazing. Shang Ruoyi obviously didn't care about what he said. Her attitude made Zhao Gang extremely annoyed. He waved his hand. Let the archers come. Yunqi looked at Shang Ruoyi with a little worry, and seeing that she looked normal, he said nothing. Since you can't tame the tiger, I think this tiger is useless, so I'll help you kill it. A trace of murderous intent flashed across Shang Ruoyi's eyes. She looked at the dozen Yamen runners holding bows and arrows, and her lips curled slightly. My tigers have bad tempers. If someone wants to kill them, they will definitely resist. Let's make it clear in advance. If they die or get injured, you must not care. When Xiaobai heard her say this, The tigers had shook a few times, and the fascinating pupils looked at Zhao Gang, ready to bite you to death with a first bite. Humph, that's natural, I won't bother with a few beasts. He smiled sinisterly and said to the Yamen runners, "Shoot." Before he finished speaking, he saw a white shadow appeared in front of him. He didn't even have time to pull out his knife and was slapped to the ground by Xiaobai's claws. Who else would dare to shoot an arrow? If the aim is not good enough, wouldn't it be like shooting Lord Zhao into a hornet's nest? Zhao Gang's face was on the ground. He didn't even see how the white tiger came to him. It was not until he was surrounded by the breath of the beast that he came to his senses. "Help!" Roar. He just uttered a word and was interrupted by Xiaobai's tiger roar. It opened its mouth, and before it could bite, Zhao Gang shouted loudly, "Prince! Princess! Spare my life! Spare my life!" Xiaobai paused, looked at Shang Ruai, and heard her say, "Lord Zhao, don't talk nonsense. There is no prince or princess here. We are just prisoners of the He family." No, it's me. No, it's me who spoke without restraint and offended several nobles. I won't dare to do it again. Never again. Shang Ruai winked at Xiaobai, and Xiaobai's mouth got closer to Zhao Gang. The low roar from his throat was clearly heard in his ears. He couldn't stop shaking all over, his eyes rolled up, and he was about to faint. Shang Ruai waved her hand, and Xiaobai finally withdrew the claws on him. Zhao Gang lay on the ground for a long time, slowly coming to his senses. Looking at the tiger so close to him, he didn't even dare to move. "Lord Zhao, it's freezing and snowy. You don't have to lie in front of my He family's door." Zhao Gang heard this, got up from the ground and ran behind the Yamen runners. "Lord Zhao, do you want to search again?" No. What is there to search in the He mansion? I'm really upset to disturb your sweet dreams so late at night. I'll send someone to get some supplements when I get back to express my apology." Zhao Gang nodded and bowed, fearing that Shang Ruai would be unhappy and let the tiger eat him again. He had never seen a tiger, so he naturally didn't know how fast this tiger was. In addition, the body that was transformed in space was several times faster than that of an ordinary tiger. If it wasn't for someone with extraordinary martial arts skills, it would be impossible to catch its movement trajectory. "No need for supplements. The He family doesn't lack these, Lord Zhao. Just keep them for yourself." Zhao Gang cupped his hands. How dare he say no? At this moment, whatever Shang Ruai said was what he meant. When Zhao Gang turned to leave, Shang Ruai saw that his clothes were wet behind him, and the corners of her lips could not help but rise. This Zhao Gang was just a paper tiger, showing his cowardice in front of a real tiger. Zhao Gang looked back and saw 7 tigers lined up in front of the He family's door, staring at them with fierce eyes. His legs ran faster. He would never visit this He family again. After they left, He Jingheng smiled. "I never thought that my wife would have this hobby, raising tigers, but I have never heard my wife mention it." Shang Ruai clapped her hands and handed the wheelchair to Yuntian. "There are still many things you don't know." After that, she walked towards the tigers and patted their heads one by one. "You performed well today, and I will give you an extra meal." Yuntian pushed He Jingheng and stood far away. "Prince, there are so many tigers hidden in our mansion, and I have never discovered them." When Xiaobai appeared in the yard just now, he felt his brain buzz. This is a tiger, not a mouse. There are so many guys of such a big body, and there is only one. Where did they come from? Are the eyes of these secret guards blind? There are so many tigers, but they didn't find them. When the snow bandits came before, Shang Ruai released Xiaobai, and the secret guards in the mansion were almost scared to death. At the same time, they fell into deep self-doubt. Have they been blind all these days? Where did these white tigers come from? They just accepted the fact that their prince's wife raised a white tiger, and tonight they were shocked by the prince's wife again. The prince's wife actually raised a group of tigers. They must have problems with their eyes. Otherwise, how could they not even know where these tigers came from? He Jingheng was also quite surprised that these tigers appeared out of thin air. He remembered that Shang Ruai brought them into the dense forest, so how could they appear from the He mansion? "Master, is there a secret passage?" "Maybe." He Jingheng smiled. It doesn't matter where it appears from. Yun Tian stood behind him and curled his lips silently. Master, it doesn't matter to you. The tiger won't bite you. Even if it bites you, with your skills, you can avoid these tigers without any problem, not to mention killing them, but they can't. He saw the speed of the white tiger. If he was targeted by it, he would be either dead or disabled. They walked into the yard. Yun Tian was about to say that he would prepare some fresh meat for these tigers to eat, but he saw Shang Ruoi holding a basin in his hand, which was filled with fruits picked from the greenhouse.
Tigers eating fruit?
Don't tigers eat meat? She is worthy of being the prince's consort. The tigers she raises are so different. Shang Ruoi patted Xiaobai's head, and Xiaobai growled, and the tigers obediently dispersed around the house. Yun Tian's jaw dropped when he saw the scene. They actually obeyed orders and guarded the yard. The position they were guarding was even the blind spot of the secret guards. Amazing! The tiger raised by the crown prince's wife was amazing. What do you want to do with Zhao Gang? Shang Ruai said lightly. I really don't know what the court was thinking, to send such a waste to guard this place. Although this is a place of exile, it is also a border. If the soldiers defending the city are weak, won't the city be lost soon? Don't worry, I have my own arrangements. Zhao Gang returned to the city defense station. His body was already soaked with sweat. He trembled as he took off his robe, and then he found that he was scared to the point of peeing his pants. How could there be a tiger? How could there be a tiger in this desolate mountain? He muttered to himself. At this time, a yamen runner came in with a basin of water. Sir, please wash up. Have you got the topographic map of the He family? Sir, the defense of the He family is like an iron barrel. Our people can't get in at all. I thought I would find an opportunity to survey it today, but I didn't expect that I couldn't even get in the gate. Waste! He shouted angrily. A bunch of waste. The yamen runner lowered his head and looked down. A trace of disdain flashed across his eyes, but Zhao Gang didn't notice it. We are all wastes. Only you are not? I don't know who peed his pants in public today. You must get the map of the He family, and by the way, find out where the room of the young lady of the He family is. He said with a little fatigue in his voice. Go down. When the yamen runner closed the door, he couldn't help but spit. What a thing. Since he took office, he has used them, the yamen runners, as slaves. Now he is still thinking about doing something to the young lady of the He family, and he doesn't even look at his own virtue. Isn't this a typical toad wanting to eat swan meat? Where is his face? He rolled his eyes and took advantage of the night to walk towards the He family. Shang Ruoi was just about to rest when she heard Yun Tian's voice outside the door. Princess, there is a yamen runner who wants to see you. Yamen runner? He Jingheng sat on the couch. A trace of anger flashed across his eyebrows. In the middle of the night, are the people in their government office idle and have nothing to do? Shang Ruoi opened the door. Which yamen runner? How could Yun Tian dare to look at him casually? He lowered his head. The yamen runner who came with Zhao Gang today is called Li Si. What's the matter? He didn't say, he just begged to see you. He Jingheng put down the book in his hand and said in a deep voice, let him go. Yun Tian knew that his master was angry. Just as he was about to leave, he heard the prince's wife say, wait. She turned her head and looked at He Jingheng. What should we do if something happens? What do you mean? Just take down the city defense department. Why bother so much? He Jingheng's words made Yun Tian's eyes light up. It has been a long time since they went to the battlefield with real swords and guns in Dinghua Palace, and the brothers are itching to do it. What are you going to take down? Shang Ruoi glared at him. Even if you go, you can't use the name of Dinghua Palace. Wouldn't that really make it a rebellion? Thinking of this, Shang Ruoi couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat on her back. She suddenly raised her head and looked at He Jingheng, only to see that he also had a heavy look in his eyes, which showed that they were thinking the same thing. The court sent people like Zhao Gang to the place of exile and guard the border, by the way. Perhaps it was intentional, just to provoke He Jingheng, force him to take action, and confirm his crime of treason. When the army came to the border, he would be directly pressed to death in this place of exile. Isn't Emperor Tianshun afraid that you will really surrender to the enemy? There's not much distance between here and the western regions. He Jingheng smiled, no.
What?
People in the Dingwa Palace will never surrender to the enemy and sell out their country. The sneer at the corner of his lips became more intense. It is precisely because he knows this that he is so unscrupulous, but he is wrong about one thing.
What?
The Dingwa Palace will not surrender to the enemy and sell out the country, but it has never said that it will not overthrow the court and establish a new master. Shang Ruai's heart jumped, and it was indeed as she thought. Since the beginning of her exile, she knew that He Jingheng was playing a big game, and today he finally laid it out in the open. He wanted to establish a new master. Shang Ruai nodded. I'll go see what the Yamen runner says. She put on her robe and went to the outer room. The Yamen runner saw her coming and hurriedly bowed. I'm Li Si, meeting the Crown Prince's consort. Where is the Crown Prince's consort here?
Don't talk nonsense.
Shang Ruai sat in the main seat and said so, but her behavior was indeed more noble than that of the Crown Prince's consort. You come here so late. Is there something important? Could it be that Lord Zhao has another order? No, I came here today to surrender. Surrender? Shang Ruai looked at him. What are you talking about? I have something very important to report to you. Sir, we're just criminals. You don't have to be so polite.
No.
He waved his hands hurriedly. How can we be criminals? You are the legal wife of the Prince of Dingwa Palace. You are the prince's consort. How can people from Dingwa Palace be criminals? If it weren't for the support of Dingwa Palace and the princes and princes who fought bravely on the battlefield, how could Tianshan be so peaceful? Now that the sea is calm and the rivers are clear, isn't it all due to Dingwa Palace? Shang Ruai heard this, without too much joy on her face, and said lightly, Now there is no Dingwa Palace. Please be careful with your words. She finally understood how Dingwa Palace came to be what it is today. These ministers attributed the stability and peace of Tianshan to Dingwa Palace all day long. Which emperor would feel comfortable hearing this? A person who has achieved great success will be suspected by the emperor regardless of his loyalty. How can he allow others to sleep soundly beside his bed? Li Si saw that she looked indifferent, so he did not continue the topic. What exactly did you come here for today, sir? There is one thing I think I must tell you. He whispered. Sir Zhaogang, tell me to find a way to get the blueprints of your mansion, especially the courtyard of your young lady, which must be marked. Sir Zhao also reminded me many times before I came here. He Yuni's room. Shang Ruai's face darkened. I thought that after what happened today, Zhaogang would be restrained, but I didn't expect that he was still so evil. It seems that he can't stay. Prince. Seeing Shang Ruai's bad face, he quickly changed his words. Madam Shang, I wonder if I use this as a gift for surrender. What do you think? Shang Ruai smiled. Our He family only wants to make a living in this exile place, and we are not against the court, so it is not a surrender at all. I will pretend that I have not heard what the adults said when they came here today. Seeing Shang Ruai didn't buy it, Li Si's heart sank. I thought that with the news I got today, the He family would definitely welcome me very much. After all, he could contact Lord Zhao, and he would be by Lord Zhao's side to pass on the news to them, so they could know the movements at any time. For the He family, I am 100 benefits and no harm, and it can even be said to be a great help. I never expected to be treated like this. Just as he was about to speak, he heard Shang Ruai say to Xiaoyao outside the door, Bring 10 taels of silver to the adults. It's not easy for the adults to come here in such cold and snowy weather. You must take this hard-earned money. When Li Si heard that there was silver, his resentment disappeared instantly. After leaving the He family, he weighed the silver in his hand. His eyes narrowed slightly. So, what if he didn't accept it? As long as he could exchange it for silver, wouldn't it be fine? Didn't he come here just to exchange some silver? After Li Si left, Shang Ruai ordered Xiaorao to bring paper and pen, and she drew a sketch. Miss, are you going to build a new house? Xiaoyao walked closer and felt very familiar. Isn't this the He mansion?
Yes.
She put down the wolf hairbrush and looked at the drawing in front of her with satisfaction. At this moment, a sound of rutting sounded. She knew that He Jingheng was here, without looking up.
How is it?
Shang Ruai had a bit of pride on her face. Look at my drawing. Is it like the real thing? He Jingheng took the blueprint and smiled. I didn't expect that my wife has such talent. This blueprint is real enough. She put the blueprint in an extremely hidden box in the study. Why was Li Si sent out? If he wasn't sent out, would he still be kept for the new year? Shang Ruai pouted. He will betray Zhao Gang today and betray me tomorrow. Why should I keep such a person by my side? Raising a tiger will bring trouble, and it will eventually be eaten by the tiger. He Jingheng nodded appreciatively, and he knew that she was not an ordinary woman. If it were someone else, Li Si's first reaction to surrendering would be joy, thinking that he had an eyeliner around Zhao Gang, but he didn't know that this was the biggest hidden danger. Zhao Gang cannot be kept. He dared to set his sights on Yuni. Shang Ruai's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He doesn't even look at his own character. He has shifty eyes and is not a good guy at first glance. His daughter must be a few years older than Yuni. He is really a toad wanting to eat swan meat. He is a shameless dog. Hearing her scolding like this, He Jingheng didn't feel at all. Instead, he felt that it was very cute and straightforward. Xiaoyao stood aside, with a slight twitch in the corner of her mouth. Miss, in front of your son-in-law, you should at least pretend to be reserved. Why are you so bold? After all, your son-in-law comes from a famous family.
What if he doesn't like it?
Thinking of this, she set her eyes on He Jingheng. She found that he was looking at his young lady with a doting look on his face. That's right, it was doting. The look in his eyes made her a little stunned. She was redundant. Yunqi also saw the scene at the door. As expected of the master, he is different from others. Zhao Gang is a court official, although he is only a minor official, but if he is killed right after being sent here, it will definitely arouse suspicion. He Jingheng whispered. Maybe he needs to stay for a while. No, I want to leave for the capital in the next few days. I thought that after what happened today, he would be more restrained, but I didn't expect that I overestimated him. Shang Ruoi's voice was filled with anger. If I don't get rid of him, I'm afraid I won't have a peaceful day when I go to the capital. At this time, in the manor in the county town, Ling Feng was drinking by himself. Qian Jinyan stepped forward and whispered, Young master, it's getting late. It's time to rest. Rest? Ling Feng smiled. Have you forgotten what day it is today? I dare not forget. Qian Lao smiled bitterly. Today is the day when hundreds of people in the Ling family were slaughtered. He put down the wine glass, with cold tears in his eyes, and his back seemed to be bent by something, unable to straighten up. From the elderly in their 80s to the babies of a few months old, without exception, all were slaughtered. The people of Tianshan are really too cruel. Qian Jinyan's eyes were filled with tears. His 2-year-old granddaughter and his only daughter also died in the massacre. When they came back from outside, they saw the scene. The whole Ling family was a river of blood, and the huge house was filled with the smell of blood. Even now, this scene would appear in his dreams from time to time. Every time he dreamed of it, he would wake up from the dream. For so many years, this was a nightmare that he could never get rid of. Ling Feng took out a black token from his arms. There was a giant beast painted on it. On the back of the token, the 4 characters Dinghua Palace were clearly engraved. He picked it up in the corner of his father's room. From that time on, he knew that it was the Dinghua Palace that massacred his entire Ling family. From that day on, he was no longer the famous young master of the Ling family in Jiangnan, but an orphan. In order to prevent being recognized, he went to the western regions after many twists and turns. Relying on the business talent engraved in the bones of a Ling family, he started from scratch and finally established a force today, and finally had enough ability to avenge their Ling family. Has everything been arranged for the young lady from the Su family? Don't worry, young master. Everything is ready. We just have to wait for the general election next spring. Ling Feng nodded. This move by the Su family was not part of my plan. I hope I didn't make a mistake. Young master will be blessed by God. The Dinghua Palace must have done too many evil things, and even God couldn't stand it anymore, so it has become what it is today. Hearing this, a look of hurt flashed across Ling Feng's eyes, and he murmured, God's blessing? Is there really such a thing as God's blessing? He smiled bitterly. If there really is such a thing, why would my Ling family suffer such a disaster? My parents are kind and generous, which shows that God is sometimes ineffective. He sat up straight, filled the cup with water, came to the tree in the yard, poured all the wine in the cup on the ground, and whispered, "Dad and Mom, your son will be able to avenge you soon." Qian Jinyan looked at his back, and the grief in his eyes became even worse. On the second day, when Shang Ruai was worrying about how to get rid of Zhao Gang legitimately, Lu Qin sent someone to deliver a letter to her. It recorded in detail the things that were looted from the Black Wind village and reported that they had subdued all the snow bandits nearby. Shang Ruai couldn't help laughing. She didn't expect these people to be so quick. Your boss is thoughtful. It is our honor to serve the master. That afternoon, she came to the county town, and the people in line had already lined up from the beginning to the end of the street. Su Ziluo stood on the top floor of Tianxiangju and sighed. I feel extremely envious just by looking at it. He Jingheng, the prince's consort, is really rare in the world. Just then, a sneaky person circled the milk tea shop for a few times. Su Ziluo frowned and said, "Keep an eye on it." Upon hearing this, Qian Yang ordered the guards behind her, report any situation quickly. Today, Shang Ruai went to the grain shop in the town and did not come to the milk tea shop. All matters in the shop were handled by Hyuni. Oh, milk tea is really addictive. I miss it so much after not drinking it for just one day. Who said it wasn't? I'm not afraid of you laughing at me. I dreamed of drinking milk tea in my dream yesterday. As soon as she finished speaking, there was laughter all around. There were a lot of customers today, all wanting to drink a cup of hot milk tea in this winter. Hyuni was so busy in the shop that she didn't even have time to eat. After finally finding a gap to go to the toilet, she took a few steps and suddenly, a strange fragrance hit her, and then she felt dizzy. Oh no, she must have been poisoned by the incense. She wanted to shout, but her throat was like a test. There were no secret guards around the toilet, and no one would respond even if she wanted to ask for help. No, I can't faint. Hyuni gritted her teeth and took out the dagger with great effort. This was left by Shang Ruai for her to defend herself. She was determined and cut her arm. Blood immediately flowed, and the nerves paralyzed by the drug suddenly became clear. At this moment, two figures flashed by, and they were two strange men. Hyuni still couldn't make a sound. She held the dagger horizontally in front of her and looked at the two men vigilantly. They looked her up and down and smiled slyly. Otherwise, why do you say that adults have good taste? With such a small appearance and small figure, who can resist it? Hyuni was horrified, and the hand holding the dagger trembled slightly. Unexpectedly, the person she met today turned out to be a flower thief. She looked towards the front yard. As long as she passed this door, she could call for help. How could the two thieves not know what she was thinking? They laughed twice. Little beauty, don't waste your time. We two brothers have already known your milk tea shop thoroughly. You want to go to the front yard to ask for help? Dream on. Hyuni's face was very ugly. She never expected that she would be targeted here. At this moment, the effect of the medicine just now hit again. A stronger sense of dizziness enveloped her. Her body swayed, and she stood unsteadily, but she didn't put down the dagger in her hand. Let's be quick and take her away quickly, otherwise it will be troublesome if someone sees us.
The tall man said.
That's what I was thinking. A lewd look flashed across the other man's eyes. Before taking her to the adults, let me have some fun first. The adults may not know about it. TSK, let's take her away first. The short man nodded, smiled, and said, Well, I'll listen to you. After that, he walked towards her. How could Hyuni let them succeed? She pointed the dagger at her neck. Even though she was trembling all over, her eyes were firm. Seeing this, the tall man turned his palm, and a stone flew out, hitting her wrist. Hyuni was already weak and could no longer hold it, so the dagger fell to the ground. Seeing this, the two men walked straight toward her. Hyuni wanted to struggle, but the effect of the drug took effect. Let alone struggling, it was difficult for her to open her eyes. I didn't expect to succeed so easily. Thanks to the master, who has been telling you and me. If I had known it would be so easy to succeed, I would have started it long ago." The tall man carried him on his shoulders, and the two of them dodged the guards and flew away. Just when they thought everything was fine and were about to go back to claim credit, they were blocked by a man in white. The two of them looked closely and saw that the man was wearing a mask on his face, holding a long sword in his hand, with his back to them. "Who are you? How dare you block the road here with a knife? It's simply lawless. Why don't you leave quickly?" The man in white sneered. "Lawless?" He pursed his lips slightly, and a hint of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. "As officials, you use such a despicable method to kidnap a decent woman. Who is lawless?" The two did not expect that the man in front of them knew their identities, and they were a little flustered for a while. "What should we do? He recognized us. What are you afraid of?" "It's just that the adults sent us here," the man in white said in a deep voice. "If you put the man down, I will let you go. If you are stubborn, don't blame me for being ruthless." "Let him go?" "That's absolutely impossible. They have been squatting in the shop for many days. They finally got the chance. How can they let him go so easily?" The man in white's eyes dimmed. Seeing that they had no intention of letting go, he sneered. "If you are stubborn, don't blame me for being rude." The man in white swung the long sword in his hand. The long sword in his hand was flying. He was very fast, fighting 1 against 2. The two opponents were defeated step by step, and they were more and more frightened. Not to mention the two of them, even if there were more people, they would not be his opponents. They looked at each other and threw the sack containing Hyuni on the ground. The man in white looked at them coldly, but he did not intend to reach out to take it. His cold eyes continued to fall on them. The long sword pointed at the hearts of the two. "Hero, we have released the people according to your instructions." "Too late," he said coldly. "There is only one chance, and I have just given it to you. Since you don't know how to cherish it, you have to pay the price for your actions." As soon as he finished speaking, he swung the long sword in his hand, and the sharp sword edge pierced many wounds on the two people's bodies. Blood flowed, but none of them were fatal, as if he was deliberately punishing them. Ouch! Ouch! The two didn't know how to hide. Seeing that the wounds on their bodies were getting more and more, they wanted to run but couldn't run away anyway. "Hero, please spare us. Please spare us. We really know we are wrong, and we won't do it again." They threw away their swords and knelt on the ground.
"Get lost."
Hearing this, the two men ran away as if they had been pardoned. After they left, the man in white came to the sack and untied the rope, revealing Hyuni's face. He frowned slightly, looked at the wound on her shoulder, took out a bottle of gold medicine, and poured it on the wound. He took out another porcelain bottle and shook it under her nose, and Hyuni woke up slowly. "Get lost," she said in a deep voice. "Don't touch me." At this time, her consciousness was not fully awake, and she thought the person in front of her was the one who kidnapped her. She raised her hand, and the pain of the wound made her sober up a lot. "Don't move," the man in white whispered. "I just applied the medicine. If you move around again, the wound on your arm will be really difficult to heal." The familiar voice made Hyuni stunned for a moment. "It's you." She finally woke up, looking at the familiar mask in front of her. Tears finally couldn't help flowing down. She thought she was doomed this time, but she didn't expect that he would save her again. Seeing her crying, the man in white was a little at a loss. "What are you doing?"
Yum.
Before she finished speaking, she heard footsteps not far away. The man in white narrowed his eyes, looked at Hyuni, and turned to leave. "Where are you going?" The man in white's voice was much colder than before. "The people who rescued you are here. I'm leaving first." As soon as he finished speaking, he flew away. As soon as he left, a group of people came over. "Mississippi." A guard came up. "Miss, are you okay?" Hyuni glared at him, pointed at the wound on her arm, and said angrily, "Do you think my arm looks okay?" "The rescue is late. Please forgive me." Hyuni glared at them. They didn't come when they should have, but they came when they shouldn't have. Ling Feng took off the mask on his face and looked at the team that was gradually leaving, his eyes dimmed. "Young master, Why don't you take this opportunity to reveal your identity to Miss He? Xian Jinyan whispered, "This is the best opportunity for Miss He to give her heart." Ling Feng gritted his teeth, and after a while, he sighed, "I always feel that this is not a gentleman's behavior." To achieve the goal, he deceived a woman's feelings. It is really despicable to tell others. "Young master, this is not the time to talk about whether a gentleman is a gentleman or not. When the people in Dinghua Palace slaughtered all the people in the Ling family, did they think about whether it was a gentleman's behavior? Did they care whether those old and young women and children were innocent?" Ling Feng was silent, and the look in his eyes gradually became firm. He Yuni returned injured, and this time she could no longer hide it. When the old princess and Qin heard the news of her injury, they hurried to her room. "What happened?" Qin looked at the bloody wound on her arm and exclaimed, "Knife wound. This is a knife wound." She hugged Hiyuni and said distressfully, "Tell mother, who is it?"
Who hurt you?
Hiyuni's lips moved slightly, and she remained silent no matter how Qin and the old princess asked. At this time, Shang Ruai walked in. "Boy, you came at the right time. Let Yuni see. The wound on her arm is so deep." "Mother, don't worry, I'll take a look." Shang Ruai checked her wound and said lightly, "You cut this wound yourself? How did the sister-in-law see it?" Hiyuni looked at her in shock. "Sister-in-law, how did you know? What is the blade of the dagger I gave you? How could I not know it?" Shang Ruai rolled her eyes at her. She didn't expect that she would be so cruel to herself. If the knife was a little deeper, it would hurt the tendons and veins. She saw the white powder on the wound and raised her eyebrows slightly. Shang Ruai looked at Hiyuni's unnatural expression and said nothing. After giving her a detailed examination, Shang Ruai said to the old princess and Qin, "Grandmother, mother, although Yuni's wound is deep, it did not hurt her bones. Fortunately, the weather is cool now, and the wound is not easy to get infected. As long as she takes the medicine on time, she will recover soon." The old princess frowned slightly. "The wound on her body is so deep. Will it leave scars?" "As long as it is not infected, there will be no scars." "That's good." The old princess looked at Hiyuni. "In Tianshan, it is difficult for women with scars to get married. The wound on the arm is so long, if it leaves a scar, it will be really difficult to get married." Shang Ruai frowned slightly and sneered. "I really don't understand. Why do women with scars have so many troubles?" The old princess didn't expect her to ask such a question. She was stunned for a moment and said, "It is unlucky for women to have scars on their bodies. Good families naturally don't want them. What about men? Men don't have so many taboos, especially soldiers who have fought on the battlefield. The scars on their bodies are like medals." Qin explained, "Has no one in the Xiangfu told you?" Shang Ruai shook her head with disdain in her eyes. "Maybe no one has told you. Even if they did, how could she take it to heart?" She couldn't understand that just a scar could determine a woman's fate. This was simply absurd. Ruai seems to have a different opinion on this matter. Qin looked at Hiyuni's arm and smiled bitterly. "But this is the fact. In Tianshan, the status of women is like this. If there is a scar on the body, no man is willing to marry her home. I just think it's a bit absurd." Shang Ruai sneered. "The status of the world as 3, 6, and 9 ranks is not divided by ability, but by whether it is a man or a woman. Men are respected. Isn't it a rule passed down from ancient times? Men are respected? For what? Just because he is a man?" Shang Ruai shook her head. Shu Ruai cannot agree with this. She carefully disinfected Hiyuni's wound and said with a firm look in her eyes, "I never think that we should respect a man because he is a man. To see whether a man is worthy of respect, the most important thing is to look at his virtue. A person with both virtue and morality is worthy of respect even if he is a beggar." The old princess and Qin had never heard of such a novel view. Shang Ruai continued, "Grandmother, do you think I respect my third uncle because he is a man? In fact, it is because he is my husband's uncle, and he knows how to respect his elders, care for his children, and is polite to my grandmother and others. It is because of this that my third uncle is a man worthy of respect. What about my third aunt? Do I respect her just because she is my third uncle's wife? Otherwise, I respect my third aunt even more." As a daughter-in-law, she is filial to her mother-in-law, respects her brother, loves her children, and manages the household. She even works harder than the men, who are out there making money. That's why I respect my third aunt. But if there were no men making money outside, how could women manage the house with peace of mind? Shang Rui smiled. So this is the different division of labor. Division of labor? What is that? Qin asked, puzzled. It is said that men are responsible for the outside world, and women are responsible for the inside world. In fact, it is not because women do worse than men that they return to the mansion and run back and forth in that small piece of land, but it is a choice they have to make in order to ensure the stability of the family. Shang Rui said lightly, if women are allowed to earn money, perhaps they are not any worse than men. Women are not appendages of men. Even if they are alone, they can still shine. Shang Rui's words made the old princess and Qin fall into deep thought. This is something they had never considered. No one has ever told them that women are not appendages of men. If they say this, people will probably think they are crazy. Otherwise, why would they say such outrageous words? But Hiyuni's eyes suddenly lit up when she looked at her.
What my sister-in-law said was what she wanted to say.
Listening to your words is worth 10 years of reading. At this moment, she felt that her wounds no longer hurt. Hiyuni was sincerely convinced by her, Qin was in deep thought, and the old princess disagreed. After all, we have been bound by feudal ethics for decades. How can we change it overnight? At this time, a guard came in and whispered, Young madam, the people who kidnapped the young lady are subordinates of the newly appointed official Zhao Gang. Upon hearing this, Hiyuni hurriedly said, I also heard them kidnapping me. What, sir? I guess they're talking about him. Qin's face was nervous. What should we do? Zhao Gang doesn't look like someone who is easy to deal with. If he uses this kind of method now, who knows what method he will use to deal with us in the future? The old princess's face was not looking good either. If the Dinghua Palace was still the same as before, how could a mere official dare to set his sights on their young lady? Shang Rui looked as if she had expected this. As early as when she received the news that Hiyuni was kidnapped, she guessed that it might be Zhao Gang who did it. Rui, what should we do? Qin had no idea and said anxiously, Why don't we let Jingheng send something to Zhao Gang to make him give up this idea? The old princess shook her head and scolded. Jingheng is a prince. He must not lose his backbone, even if he is exiled. We are the bloodline of the Dinghua Palace, and we must be upright people no matter when. Shang Rui nodded. Grandmother, mother, don't worry. Since the man surnamed Zhao has torn his face, we don't have to endure it again and again. Some people are used to getting more than they deserve. Since he doesn't know how to appreciate it and doesn't learn a lesson, we must let him know what the consequences are of offending people who shouldn't be offended. Shang Rui curled the corners of her lips slightly. She was worried that she had no reason to deal with him. Now he came to her door himself. If she didn't make him lose some skin, she really thought she was easy to bully. Seeing that Shang Rui had made up her mind, the old princess looked at her with a deeper look. Thinking back to what she had just said, her heart was slightly moved. Perhaps there is some truth in this. After making sure that Hiyuni's injuries were not serious, the old princess and Qin left one after another. Shang Rui looked at Hiyuni, her voice slightly deep. Do you know the person who saved you?
What?
Hiyuni didn't expect that she would ask this question as soon as she opened her mouth. How did her sister-in-law know? She avoided his eyes. Who? Weren't it the guards who saved me? Shang Rui looked at her with an unfathomable look. The guards reported that when they arrived, you had already escaped, and there were signs of fighting all around. It is obvious that someone rescued you first. Those guards are talking nonsense. It was obviously my own cleverness that got me out of the control of those two thieves. I used all the self-defense skills my sister-in-law taught me. Seeing that she was unwilling to tell the truth, Shang Rui's eyes were cold. Rely on yourself? Yes. Hiyuni met her eyes and was defeated in a few breaths. Shang Rui's eyes were too sharp, just like the judge in the storybook, making her thoughts clear. Sister-in-law, don't ask anymore. Shang Rui whispered, You have a man you like, and I don't want to hinder you. If he has a noble character and a clean family background, I am even willing to help you, but you have to explain it to me clearly. It's not that she wanted to dig into the matter. In a place like this, Hiyuni was rescued by the same person again and again when she was in danger. It was hard to believe that it was all due to fate. Hiyuni's pretty face turned slightly red. He has a first-class character. He saved me but never asked for anything in return. He is just like the knights described in the novels. What else? What else? What else? Hiyuni asked. Isn't this enough to explain the problem? I saved you twice, and you are ready to marry me? Shang Ruai couldn't help laughing. What's his name? Where does he live? Does he have any relatives? Does he have a wife and children? Do you know all this? Hiyuni blinked, a trace of confusion in her eyes. How could a girl like her ask about such a private topic? You don't even know these basic information, and yet you have fallen in love with her. Shang Ruai frowned. You must have read too many novels, and your brain must be damaged. Hiyuni remained silent. She really didn't know these things. Sister-in-law, how do you know that I was rescued by someone and not by myself? There is still a small amount of drugs in your body. You are not good at martial arts, and you are drugged. I am afraid you can't even open your eyes. How can you save yourself? Shang Ruai glanced at her. Besides, there is obviously gold medicine on your wound. I have never given you this medicine powder. Where did you get it from? Hiyuni really hadn't thought of this. She had to admire Shang Ruai's meticulousness. Shang Ruai looked at her and whispered, if the man and concubine are in love and have noble morals, I'm sure grandma and mother won't stop them. But if he is already married and has children, or if he has moral defects, you don't have to even think about this person. Hiyuni nodded. If he has bad conduct, you absolutely can't marry him. As for having a family, I'm a legitimate daughter. Even if the Dingwa Palace no longer exists, I can never be a concubine. Grandma and mother won't agree. It's not just a matter of seniority. Shang Ruai said lightly, I never think that men have the right to have many wives and concubines. Capital. Is it difficult to love only one person for a lifetime? Women can do it, so why can't men? A person's heart is only so big, and love is only so much. How can it accommodate so many people? But it is very normal for a man to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Nowadays, as long as there is money, even a farmer can marry several wives. Shang Ruai shook her head. I only ask for one person for my whole life. If your brother wants to take a concubine one day, I will never compromise. That will be the day I separate from him. He Jingheng, who was about to knock on the door, stopped his hand in mid-air. A lifelong couple. How could she know that this was not what he wanted? Yunqi stood behind him pushing the wheelchair, and Shang Ruai's words also fell into his ears. As expected of the crown prince's consort, she was indeed different from other women in the world, but he did not think there was anything wrong with the crown prince's consort saying so. After all, a wonderful woman like the crown prince's consort deserved the unique love of men in the world. Shang Ruai's eyes swept across the door. She thought he would leave directly after hearing this. After all, her ideas were shocking in Tianshan. What she had just said to the old princess and Qin was just about the status of men and women. Both of them found it very difficult to accept, let alone this kind of argument. 3 wives and 4 concubines, hugging left and right may be the wish of all men, but for women, which woman is willing to share her husband with others? What's more, she is not a concubine of the prime minister's mansion who grew up under the poison of feudal ethics, but a soul from modern civilization, which she absolutely cannot accept. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Miss, the eldest young master is here. Shang Ruai raised her eyebrows slightly. She didn't expect that he would come in after hearing her. When Hiyuni saw her brother, she shrank her neck and said weakly, Brother, why are you here? He Jingheng whispered, Mother was scared by your injury, so she asked me to come and see you. Sister-in-law has already applied medicine to me. He Jingheng's eyes fell on Shang Ruai. Mother means that she is not allowed to go to the shop in the county town again. In fact, not only Qin, but also the old princess strongly opposed her going out again. Hiyuni was shocked when she heard this. Isn't this a disguised confinement to her house? If she is not allowed to go to the shop, then she will be suffocated to death if she stays in this mansion all day long? Brother, no. I want to go to the shop. If I can only hang around in this 1 acre and 3 points of land in this mansion every day, I will definitely get bored. He Jingheng ignored her, just looked at Shang Ruai. What do you think? Hearing this, He Yuni looked at her sister-in-law with burning eyes, hoping that she would plead for her. Her brother took her sister-in-law to heart, so he would definitely listen to her. Shang Ruai thought about it and nodded. Stay in the mansion for the time being. Shang Ruai's words were like a bolt from the blue, for He Yuni. Sister-in-law, Shang Ruai said in a deep voice, I will go to the capital soon, and you will have to take care of all the affairs in the mansion yourself. This is much more important than the business in the shop. Going to the capital? Shang Ruai repeated that she was going back to Beijing to treat the queen. He Yuni hesitated to speak. Shang Ruai knew that she was thinking about the man who saved her and whispered in her ear, just wait patiently. Fate can't be rushed. After hearing her say this, He Yuni finally nodded. At this moment, she actually felt a little regretful. The first time that man wanted to give her a whistle, she was reserved and didn't take it. Now she couldn't find him. After Shang Ruai came back, she didn't mention the matter of that man to He Jingheng. After all, it was a girl's intention. Even if she told He Jingheng, it would most likely end in vain. Zhao Gang was waiting for news from the two men in the mansion, eagerly hoping that they would bring He Yuni back. He felt itchy when he thought of her delicate skin and delicate appearance. He took a sip of tea and murmured, if this He Yuni is sensible and serves me comfortably, I can consider letting the He family live a few more days of good life. Not long after, the two men came to him covered in blood. Sir. Seeing their appearance, Zhao Gang's heart sank. Did you fail? Sir. We had already succeeded, and on the way back, a man in white suddenly appeared and rescued Miss He. What? Zhao Gang slammed the table hard and said angrily, 2 losers. After a moment, he asked, you haven't been recognized by others, have you? The two men's eyes dimmed when they heard it. Their identities had long been recognized by the man in white, but now Sir Zhao was angry. If they told the truth, they would inevitably be severely punished. Their injuries have not healed yet. Wouldn't it be adding insult to injury if they are severely punished again? They might even lose their lives. So, they hurriedly said, replying to the Lord, how dare we reveal our identities? Zhao Gang sat back in his chair, thinking to himself, it's good that my identity has not been discovered. Otherwise, the He family will never let me go. Whenever he thought of the tigers raised by He Jingheng and Shang Ruai, he couldn't help but feel unsteady on his feet and sweat all over. At night, he had just laid on the bed when he heard a noise coming from the room. He thought it was the sound of the wind, but the next moment, a tiger roar came. He was startled and hurriedly sat up from the bed. He put on his outer robe and prepared to find out what was going on. A young woman was lying on the bed. She was the concubine he had taken in after he came here. Seeing her getting dressed and going out, he asked in confusion, Master, where are you going? Hearing her voice, Zhao Gang's eyes suddenly widened. He looked at her in horror and murmured, Tiger, 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 help. The woman looked at him in confusion. Master, what's wrong with you? Where is the tiger? Are you having a nightmare? Just as she was about to step forward, she saw Zhao Gang sitting on the ground in fear, his body constantly moving backwards, his eyes full of fear, and he shouted loudly, Don't come over. Don't come over. The more he did this, the more worried the concubine became. She concluded that Zhao Gang was having a nightmare, so she quickly stepped forward. Master, it's me, Luo'er. Tiger. Don't come over here, help. Help. Zhao Gang's voice was so loud that it attracted everyone in the mansion. What they saw was Lord Zhao running in the yard, and his concubine was chasing him. Zhao Gang ran and called for help, muttering, Tiger, don't come over here, get out of here. They looked at the concubine chasing him with complicated eyes. They didn't expect that the master, who was serious and even a little cruel in front of them, was so henpecked. This concubine looked very beautiful. Why was the master so afraid? They didn't know that at this time, in Zhao Gang's eyes, everyone was a tiger. It was just because he was poisoned by Shang Ruai's hallucinogenic powder. Yunqi was on Zhao Gang's roof, looking at the people in chaos at this time, and sneered. Dare to mess with their prince's wife. This is the end. At this time, Zhao Gang looked at the tiger group gradually approaching him, and his heart was horrified. He leaned against the wall, and there was no way to retreat. Don't come over. Don't come over. He held his head and cried loudly. Don't eat me. Help. Don't eat me. Seeing him like this, everyone was very anxious. The more he didn't let people get close, the more people walked towards him. In Zhao Gang's eyes, dozens of tigers opened their bloody mouths and pounced on him. Ah! He shouted suddenly, and then his eyes rolled up and he lay straight on the ground. Master, master, wake up. Everyone walked up and felt his breath with their hands, and they couldn't help but fall to the ground in fear. Dead. Dead. What? Dead? Everyone looked at Zhao Gang's body and scattered in panic. Yunqi looked at this scene with some surprise and recalled the words of the prince's wife when he got the powder. This Zhao Gang, if he died so easily, it would be too easy for him. Before he died, let him see the most feared thing buried deep in his heart, which can be regarded as a vent. She is worthy of being the prince's wife. On the second morning, the news that the newly appointed official was scared to death by his nightmare spread throughout the exile area. What kind of immoral things did Zhao Gang do? He was scared to death by his own dream. He must be the one who did so many evil things, and now he is getting retribution. Have you heard? Zhao Gang abducted women, forced good women into prostitution, and did all kinds of evil things. Some people were forced to death because of the bad things he did in the early years. Now he died suddenly. He really deserved it. Yes, he deserved it. A woman said, You may not have heard that he forced the family at the southernmost end of the village to death a few days ago. He insisted on marrying the family's daughter and finally forced the three of them to commit suicide by taking poison. He and his men dealt with them overnight. Really? Of course it's true. If you don't believe me, go to that house and see if there is anyone left. Everyone talked one after another and revealed all the bad things Zhao Gang had done in this exile area. Who would have thought that not long after he took office, he had done so many evil things here and forced so many people to death? After the people sent by Zhang Wenyu to investigate reported what they saw and heard, Zhang Wenyu slammed the table fiercely. He really deserves to die. Sir, are we still investigating? What the Hades? Zhang Wenyu couldn't help but swear. He was scared to death in his own yard in public. How can we investigate? No more investigation. Just close the case according to the current verdict. Yes. Yunqi told the result to Shang Ruoi. Crown Princess, you are really amazing. How can you conclude that Zhang Wenyu will not continue to investigate? Shang Ruoi smiled. It's just a random talk, and even if he sends someone to investigate, I'm not worried. As long as I don't want people to find out about the poison I prepared, even the most skilled coroner will be useless. Yunqi heard this and admired her secretly. She was worthy of being the crown princess. After solving Zhao Gang, the biggest worry, Shang Ruoi finally began to prepare to set off for the capital. As for the newly appointed officials, He Jingheng used some tricks inside, so he dared not cause trouble to the He family again. Before leaving, Shang Ruai put the prepared human skin masks on Xu Mei and a secret guard, creating the illusion that they were still in the place of exile. When the two left, they only took Yunqi with them, and Yuntian was very depressed about this. If I had known this, I would have asked to follow the prince's wife. When he said this, he did not notice He Jingheng, who was standing not far behind him. Yunqi winked at him, but he did not understand and said to himself, The days of following the prince's wife must be very interesting, unlike the prince. Yunqi looked at his master's face, which began to become a little gloomy, and could not help but pray for him. You wish yourself good luck. I have done my best. Seeing that he had not spoken and only winked at him, Yuntian could not help but ask, What's wrong with your eyes? Is it cramped? If you have eye cramps, how about I go for you this time? Yunqi lowered his head and thought to himself, There is no hope. This time there is really no hope. He clasped his hands and saluted behind him. Prince. Yuntian was stunned in place, and cold sweat broke out on his back instantly. He turned around quickly and saw that the prince was just a few steps away from him. His heart was very heavy. Master. He Jingheng glanced at him coldly and walked away without saying anything. Now, Yuntian not only did not feel relieved, but felt even more scared. When the prince was silent, it was even more terrifying. At night, everything was silent. He Jingheng and Shang Ruai left under the cover of night. At this time, on a mountain peak, Ling Feng and Qian Jinyan were standing there. Qian Jinyan said in a deep voice, "Young master, both of them have left. What should we do with the people of the He family who are left here?" Ling Feng said lightly, "Dispose?"
How to deal with them?
Of course, just like how they treated the Ling family, we will return all of these. Ling Feng sneered. The He family is cruel and slaughtered hundreds of people in my Ling family. If I do the same thing, wouldn't I be no different from them? Young master, do you mean to let those people of the He family go? Qian Jinyan frowned. Young master, if you do this, when will we be able to avenge our hatred? Every grievance has its perpetrator. If you want to take revenge, go find He Jingheng. Why kill those old, weak women and children? Ling Feng said in a low voice. They didn't participate in the massacre. According to the young master, we should find his father. He Jingheng was still a child back then. After Qian Jinyan finished speaking, Ling Feng glanced at him. Seeing this, Qian Jinyan hurriedly lowered his head. It was the old servant who overstepped his authority. Ling Feng looked at the receding figure and said lightly, "Go back." Qian Jinyan did not say anything, but he already felt a little resentful in his heart. Thinking of the young lady He Yuni from the He family, his eyes narrowed slightly. Could it be because of her? Shang Ruai and the other two rode fast horses and headed south. Shang Ruai missed riding horses after not riding horses for a long time. In her previous life, she loved riding horses very much. Whenever she had time, she would go to the grassland to gallop. This time, He Jingheng prepared all the Fergana horses. The speed was very fast, and even though it was cold and windy now, Shang Ruai felt very happy. After a long time, the speed of the few people gradually slowed down. Shang Ruai exhaled, and the depression in her heart slowly dissipated. He Jingheng smiled. Your horsemanship is pretty good. We can have a competition. It's rare that you're interested in this. It's not impossible. Shang Ruai's eyes lit up, and her chin raised slightly. I'm really hard to beat in horsemanship. I wonder what the prize is this time? The prize? Of course. Shang Ruai smiled. Since it's a competition, how can there be no prize? Okay. He Jingheng had a smile on his face. Although I don't have much money to bet with you, I have several manors in the capital, one of which has hot spring water, which is great for rest on weekdays. Hot spring. Shang Ruai's eyes lit up when she heard this. Okay. What's the prize, my lady? Shang Ruai blinked. I won't lose. A confident look flashed in her eyes, which made her beautiful face even more heroic, so beautiful that people couldn't take their eyes off. He Jingheng looked at her, his eyes sparkling. Okay. The two raised their whips, and the two Arabian horses rushed out like arrows. Yunqi finally caught up with the two, but before he had time to catch his breath, the prince and the princess rushed out again. He could only look at the horse's legs and sigh. Can they wait for him? The prince and the princess are excellent horsemen, but his strength is not good enough. He resignedly raised his whip and chased after them. At this time, he was actually a little envious of Yuntian. Shang Ruai and He Jing's horsemanship are comparable. He Jingheng looked at Shang Ruai, who was always one step ahead of him, and smiled resignedly. What else can he do to spoil his own wife? Until the next post station, He Jingheng was one step behind her. I won. Shang Ruai smiled. The hot spring villa is mine. He Jingheng nodded and said seriously, I didn't expect that my lady's riding skills are so superb. What a mistake. He has been calling her madam all the time these days, but Shang Ruai didn't feel anything. Somehow, She felt a little embarrassed today. She rolled her eyes at him and turned to go into the room. He Jingheng was about to follow him in when he saw Shang Ruai blocking the door. In the mansion, under the eyes of my grandmother and mother, we can't sleep in separate rooms. Today I asked Yunqi to open 3 rooms. As soon as he finished speaking, there was and the door was closed. He Jingheng's face instantly became ugly. At this time, Yunqi came over with the other 2 keys.
Master.
He Jingheng glared at him and turned to leave. Yunqi was stunned. He was just a few steps slower. Was the master angry because of his slowness? He had tried his best, and the horse was exhausted. They rode fast horses day and night for 10 days, and finally returned to the capital. Standing in front of the city gate, looking at the bustling scene of cars coming and going, she sighed twice. How long has it been since I last saw so many people and so many cars? The county town has the most people in the exile area, but I'm afraid it's not even 1% of the population here. What's more, most of those who can settle down in the capital are either rich or noble. The price of houses here is several times higher than other places around, and in Tianshan, the level and regional division of the capital is very strict. There is no way that civilians live around those noble families. Shang Ruoi and the other 2 had already put on human skin masks. When they passed the city gate, the soldiers in charge of guarding the gate carefully checked them before letting them in. Now that the queen is poisoned, the person who poisoned her has not been found yet. Martial law is inevitable. He Jingheng sneered. A bunch of trash. All the industries in the Dingwa Palace were sealed, and some other secret agents were not there. He Jingheng chose an inn in the capital, wrote a letter, and sent someone to deliver it to the Prince Bao's mansion. Now that He Lingqi has become the Prince Bao and is favored by the emperor, there are many people who want to curry favor with him. The servant at the door heard that it was a letter from Master Lingjun and hurriedly ran inside with the letter. At this time, He Lingqi was having breakfast, and he was worried. The letter had been sent for a long time, so why was there no response at all? Could it be that someone stopped it? When he thought of this possibility, he became extremely anxious. If others knew about his relationship with He Jingheng, according to his father's style, his end would be more miserable than He Jingheng. After all, what he was planning was the throne that his father valued most. The palace of the Ding state was so loyal to his father, but it ended up like this, let alone him. Just when he was depressed, the servant at the door ran in with sweat all over his head. Your Highness, Your Highness. He wiped the sweat from his head, his eyes full of excitement. Why are you so flustered? He Lingqi's face tightened. But what's the news in the palace? Your Highness, a letter from Master Lingjun. They all knew that only Master Lingjun could detoxify the current queen. Whoever could invite Master Lingjun would be a meritorious official. He Lingqi's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he hurriedly took the letter. Where's the person who sent the letter now? He handed the letter to me and left. He Lingqi opened the letter, and his eyes were even brighter. He said 3 good words in a row. Reward. He Lingqi casually gave the servant 20 taels of silver as a reward. Thank you, Your Highness. At night, He Lingqi came to the inn in plain clothes. When he saw He Jingheng in the room, he was stunned. You came here in person. He Jingheng glanced at him. At this time, He Lingqi was standing next to Shang Ruai. Although Shang Ruai was wearing men's clothes at this time, and He Lingqi didn't know her identity, he inexplicably felt annoyed and had a very bad attitude towards He Lingqi. Why, your father exiled me, so I have to listen to him and stay in the exile place. Hearing his ruthless words, He Lingqi was stunned for a moment. How did he offend him? Yunqi stood behind He Jingheng. He knew why his son was like this and almost laughed out loud. I didn't expect that the son was not only afraid of his wife, but also a jealous person. Now this jealous person has turned over, and the sour taste is a bit choking. Dr. Lingjun, thank you so much for coming to the capital. He Lingqi just finished speaking when He Jingheng sneered. Shouldn't you thank me? If it weren't for me, she wouldn't receive thousands of letters and books sent by pigeons, let alone come to this mess. He Lingqi looked at him and said bitterly, Jingheng, what do you want? He Jingheng snorted coldly. I think you are even more arrogant than your father, the emperor. Now that you have just become a prince, you should start to appreciate others. Shang Rui also saw that he had been squeezing healing qi and was very puzzled. Jingheng, tell me, how did I offend you? Why are you targeting me everywhere today? He Jingheng snorted coldly. How did I target you? Shang Rui didn't know why he was so awkward, but if he continued like this today, there would be no conclusion, even if we discussed it all night. He Jingheng, she whispered. He Jingheng didn't say anything after hearing this. How could someone in this world be able to control him? He Lingqi's eyes widened as wide as she could, and the shock in her heart was no less than when she learned that she could cure the plague. He looked at Master Ling Jun beside him. She was wearing a mask on her face, so he couldn't see her appearance clearly. His eyes slid down to her neck, and before he could investigate further, a teacup attacked him. The hot water in the teacup was boiling, and if it fell on the body, it would definitely burn. He quickly moved his body away, took a big step to the right, and instantly distanced himself from Shang Rui. He Jingheng was satisfied. When Shang Rui saw that his face had improved, she understood why he was bullying Healing Qi. I don't know what it feels like in my heart. An indescribable secret joy surged in my heart. He Jing. He almost called out his name. Madman, are you crazy today? He Jingheng raised his eyebrows slightly, leaned against the back of the chair, and said slowly, Forget it. I'll let you go today. What's the matter with you coming here tonight?
Tell me.
Seeing him like this, He Lingqi instantly knew why his father wanted to get rid of the Dinghua Palace. With you like this, it's not easy for my father to endure until today. He Jingheng smiled and said nothing. The queen is now being served by Dr. Jiang, and all the doctors in the Imperial Hospital have been withdrawn, so we can't know what's going on inside. He Lingqi whispered, If you're willing, I'll ask my father tomorrow to let Master Ling Jun come to the palace to treat the queen. He Jingheng looked at her. Are you willing to go tomorrow? Shang Rui nodded. Sure. Yunqi was used to this, but when had He Lingqi seen him like this? He was horrified, and the look in his eyes when he looked at Shang Rui became very strange. Could it be that He Jingheng had some special hobby? The few of them had been discussing until late at night, and He Lingqi was still not satisfied. At this time, Shang Rui yawned. He Lingqi was halfway through his words when he heard He Jingheng say lightly, I'm tired. Go back to your palace.
Haha, that's the best.
He Jingheng smiled. In this way, he will know to protect you in the palace. If you make a mistake, I will never forgive him. So that's it. No wonder he was so abnormal tonight. The royal family is best at protecting themselves. When it comes to an emergency, sacrificing the car to save the king is what they do most. If he doesn't see how much I value you, he might abandon you in the face of interests. He Jingheng narrowed his eyes slightly, as if he thought of something unpleasant, and the aura around him was very sharp. There is one thing I want to ask. Shang Rui's eyes flickered with excitement in them. He Jingheng saw her expression and his heart skipped a beat. What's the matter? Your Majesty, do you have any money? He Jingheng was stunned for a moment. Your Majesty is rich, so of course he has money. Where does the Emperor keep his money? Tian Shun's money is all in the national treasury. As for the Emperor himself, he has a private treasury. I really don't know the exact location. He Jingheng looked at her mysteriously. Why are you asking this? Just asking casually, asking. Shang Rui smiled. I treat the queen's illness and detoxify, so of course I have to make money. The old emperor is rich. Don't think of using some worthless gadgets to get rid of me. Since the emperor has a private treasury, she must take a stroll, clean it out, and make some room for him to save again, as compensation for her exile. The emperor's private treasury. There must be a lot of treasures in it. The eager expression on her face was so cute in He Jingheng's eyes. Thinking of what Yunqi once said, the storehouse of the Dinghua Palace was emptied overnight, and there was no trace of moving, not even the footprints of the thieves were found. Could it be that she did it? How is this possible? The next morning, Emperor Tianshun rubbed his forehead and sat on the dragon throne. My dear ministers, is there anything I can do today? He Lingxing stepped forward. Father, I saw that you were worried about the poisoning of the Queen Mother recently, so I asked Dr. Jiang to develop a pill for you to regulate your body. The prince is thoughtful. Emperor Tianshun said lightly. Father, I have ordered people to issue a notice, and I will definitely find a miracle doctor to detoxify the Queen Mother. Good. Emperor Tianshun finally had a little smile on his face. At this moment, He Lingqi stepped forward. Father, the divine Dr. Lingjun arrived in the capital yesterday. He can cure my mother's illness and detoxify her today. Do you want me to bring him to the palace? What? Divine Dr. Lingjun has arrived? He Lingsheng looked at He Lingqi in shock. He didn't even receive any news. Fourth brother, are you telling the truth? You didn't find someone to pretend to be him in order to win credit. He Lingqi smiled. Brother, I will not lie about this matter. This is related to my mother's health. Even if I have 10 guts, I would not dare to do these things. He turned his gaze back to Emperor Tianshun. I didn't get a reply from the divine doctor before. Yesterday, the divine doctor sent someone to deliver a letter to my house. He has arrived in the capital. Prime Minister Shang and divine Dr. Jiang have met Master Lingjun before. How could I lie? Upon hearing this, Emperor Tianshun was overjoyed. That's great. Fourth brother, I really didn't misjudge you. Emperor Tianshun laughed a few times. Let the miracle doctor enter the palace today. Emperor Tianshun hadn't been so happy for a long time and said to He Lingqi, if the miracle Dr. Lingjun can really cure your mother, you will be the greatest contributor, and I will definitely reward you heavily. He Lingsheng looked at his fourth brother standing beside him. His eyes narrowed slightly. He didn't expect that his brother, who had been unknown for so many years, would have such a deep mind and such great ability to quietly invite the miracle doctor to the capital. He had already made great contributions in the first 2 disaster relief operations, and his father's impression of him had changed. Concubine Shu was favored again. Although his father still valued his mother, after all, there would be some deviations with the addition of others. In the long run, his position as the crown prince would be threatened. He Lingsheng retracted his gaze, lowered his eyes, and covered the cold light in his pupils. Not long after, a team of royal guards appeared downstairs in the inn where Shang Ruai was. He Lingqi was waiting at the door of the inn wearing the royal uniform of the Baoqin dynasty. Shang Ruai put on the mask and took the medicine box. As soon as she went out, she heard He Jingheng's voice. Now there are many people in the palace. You must be cautious when you enter the palace. Since you follow He Lingqi into the palace, the prince and his mother, concubine Zhao, will definitely regard you as a thorn in their eyes and flesh, and they will want to remove you as soon as possible. I can't protect you, so be careful about everything. Shang Ruai nodded. Don't worry, I know what to do. She was not afraid of anything. After all, she had the space to protect her body. If she encountered any danger, she would just hide in the space. When she walked out of the inn, He Lingqi hurriedly came to meet her. Master Lingjun. He looked behind her and saw that no one followed her. He slowly exhaled, and his face was not as solemn as it was at first. Shang Ruai couldn't help but laugh when she saw this. I didn't expect that the prince would come to pick me up in person. It's my fault. Sir, please don't say that. Please follow me into the palace. He Lingqi said with a smile. Father is still waiting for you. He Jingheng looked through the window at the emperor's guards leaving. Yunqi said softly, Sir, the princess is going to the palace alone. What if she runs into any trouble? You probably underestimated her. He Jingheng didn't forget the look in Shang Ruai's eyes when she asked him about the emperor's private treasury yesterday. How could she be afraid and anxious about entering the palace? She was clearly extremely excited. In his opinion, when she enters the palace, someone else will be unlucky. He was right. Shang Ruai's fundamental purpose of entering the palace was the emperor's private treasury. The national treasury is the foundation of Tianshun. No matter who is the emperor, an empty national treasury is fatal, especially for the people. If she empties the national treasury, it will bring disaster to the people. In order to fill the loopholes in the national treasury, the court will increase taxes, and then the people of Tianshun will be in trouble. If such a thing is done, it will be punished by heaven. Her target this time is the emperor's private treasury. If the private treasury is robbed, he must have no choice but to be angry. Thinking of this, Shang Ruai wished that the carriage would go faster so that she could find the emperor's private treasury earlier. After a long time, the carriage stopped. Lingqi got off the carriage in front and walked over and said, "The carriage is not allowed to enter here." Shang Ruai opened the door, and a chill came over her. She tightened her robe and got off the carriage. Looking at the magnificent building in front of her, her expression did not change much. The various palaces in ancient times have become tourist attractions in modern times. They are indeed very common, but for the ancients, the royal garden is the most luxurious place. "Young Master Lingjun, please." It had been 2/4 of an hour since they arrived at the harem. Shang Ruai couldn't help shaking her head. The queen's poison was not a big deal at this time. If she encountered a poison that killed people instantly or was extremely overbearing, the person who was poisoned might die before she even reached the harem. When she arrived at Fengyi Palace, Emperor Tianshun was sitting on the main seat in the main hall. "Your son pays homage to the emperor." He saluted to Lingqi again. "Your Highness, brother." Shang Ruai also followed Lingqi in paying homage. "Your humble servant Lingjun pays homage to the emperor and his royal highness the crown prince." Although she had never seen the crown prince, she remembered that Lingqi had only one brother, the crown prince. The young man in a yellow robe in front of her must be the crown prince. "Stand up." Emperor Tianshun set his eyes on Shang Ruai behind him, only to see that she was wearing a mask and frowned slightly. "You are the genius, Dr. Lingjun. I didn't expect you to be so young. You are really a young talent." The prince standing beside Emperor Tianshun also echoed, "Yes, it is indeed unexpected, but..." He looked at Shang Ruai and whispered, "Masks are not allowed in the palace." "Fourth brother, didn't you tell the genius doctor?" Lingqi looked at Shang Ruai and saw that she did not move. Just when he was about to explain, he saw her put her hand on the mask and smiled. "I wear a mask because of the terrible scars on my face. I am afraid of offending you nobles. If the emperor and the prince don't mind, I can take it off." As she said that, she was about to take off the mask. As soon as she moved, everyone present saw the criss-crossing scars on her face and couldn't help but gasp. As she said, the scar was too scary. Emperor Tianshun said hurriedly, "Forget it. Since this is the habit of the divine doctor, just wear it." At this time, divine Dr. Jiang and his daughter came over. When he saw Shang Ruai, his face looked a little ugly, but he couldn't show it too obviously. After all, he was a divine doctor in the eyes of others. If he couldn't tolerate other doctors, others would not know how to laugh at him. "Your Majesty, Your Highness the Crown Prince, Your Highness, I took the pulse of the Queen. The Queen's pulse is more weak than before. It's a sign of poison attacking the heart." Upon hearing this, Emperor Tianshun hurriedly said to Shang Ruai, "Divine Dr. Lingjun." Shang Ruai nodded. "I will go and take a look." When she passed by divine Dr. Jiang, she saw Jiang Anur glaring at her. Shang Ruai just felt funny, looked at her a few times, and her lips curled slightly. Is it necessary to marry He Jingheng with such a beautiful face? Although she was wearing a mask, the look in her eyes could not be concealed by the mask. "Why are you looking at me?" Jiang Anur said in a deep voice. "Nothing, just a little confused." "What's confusing?" Shang Ruai smiled. "Nothing." She smiled and left. Jiang Anur's face was a little ugly. She just saw the contempt in her eyes. Dr. Jiang looked at her back, holding his breath in his chest, but when he thought of the medicine he had added, his eyes flashed slightly. He wanted to see how capable and powerful Master Lingjun was to cure the Queen's poison. Even if he cured it, there was still the trap he set. After Shang Ruai left, Lingqi smiled. "I didn't expect that my fourth brother is so capable. You really invited this miracle doctor. My mother was poisoned, my father was very anxious, and I was also very anxious. I didn't dare to delay for a moment." Lingqi smiled, "But my brother also contributed to this." "My contribution?" Lingqi was puzzled. "What do you mean?" "When I went to see Master Lingjun yesterday, The master asked about the medical book left by the medical saint in my brother's house. If my brother hadn't said that he was willing to use the medical book as a reward, Master Lingjun would not have agreed easily. At this moment, Jiang and sneered. I didn't expect that Master Lingjun would be such a hypocritical person. And don't talk nonsense. How can you talk casually in front of the emperor? Dr. Jiang quickly apologized. Your Majesty, I am still young and my words and deeds are inappropriate. I hope your Majesty will forgive me. Emperor Tianshun waved his hand and smiled. It's okay, but why does Miss Jiang say that? Upon hearing this, Dr. Jiang winked at Jiang and she smiled and said, doctors are kind-hearted. Even if the poor people don't have money to pay, Daddy will still treat them. However, although Master Lingjun bears the name of a miracle doctor, he always has to be paid generously to treat patients. I heard from Daddy that he made a lot of money from treating the plague last time. I think this Master Lingjun is also a greedy person. With such a character, how can he be worthy of the title of a miracle doctor? She curled her lips. Now that the Empress is poisoned, doctors from all over the country want to come forward and see if they can do their best. My father entered the palace immediately after hearing the news. When did he think about the reward? However, this Master Lingjun only came out after he learned that the Crown Prince was willing to pay him with medical books. What else can he do, if not be righteous? His behavior is despicable. Her righteous words made everyone in the palace change their faces slightly. Emperor Tianxuan's face darkened. Jiang was right. When the Empress was poisoned, they summoned famous doctors from all over the world. Others never asked about the consultation fee. Only she didn't show up until she saw the rabbit. This clearly showed that she didn't take him seriously. How could the royal majesty allow others to challenge it? He Lingxing looked at the Jiang father and daughter with satisfaction. He didn't expect that these two people would so easily lower the position of Master Lingjun in his father's heart. Regret flashed in He Lingqi's eyes. He didn't expect that his remarks would push Master Lingjun to such a situation. Emperor Tianshun said to Dr. Jiang and his daughter, "You two are proficient in medicine. Why don't you go into the inner hall and treat Master Lingjun together?"
Yes.
The two took the order and left. Shang Ruai was led by the palace servants to the inner hall. At this time, the hall was filled with a strong smell of medicine. She frowned slightly and said to the palace servants, "Open the doors and windows in the hall." "Open?" The nanny beside the queen hurriedly said, but Dr. Jiang said that the queen is thin and cannot be exposed to cold. Now it is winter, and the weather is cold. Opening the doors and windows will definitely make the queen catch a cold. Shang Ruai smiled. Are the words of Dr. Jiang the imperial edict? If what he said is right, why couldn't he cure your queen's poison? All her words fell into the ears of Dr. Jiang and his daughter, who had just arrived at the door. Dr. Jiang's face was a little ugly, and Jiang was not willing to give in after hearing that. She walked forward and said angrily, "What are you gossiping about here?" "Gossiping?" Shang Ruai glanced at her. "This kind of thing, I think it is more like something a girl would do. I just said it openly." "You." Jiang had an ugly look on her face, and when she was about to say something else, she was stopped by Dr. Jiang. "Master Lingjun, the queen is afraid of cold. If you open the doors and windows like this, won't it make the queen's body temperature even lower? You just said that the queen is afraid of cold, but this cold is not because of the cold weather, but the coldness emanating from the body. Not to mention winter. Even in midsummer, the queen will still feel cold." Shang Ruai glanced at him. The air is full of filthy air. Even normal people feel very uncomfortable when they inhale it, let alone people who are poisoned. She said to the palace maids, "Open the doors and windows. If there is any problem, I will take care of it."
Yes.
Soon, the doors and windows of Fingyi Palace were all opened, and bursts of cool air came in, dispersing all the turbid air in the palace. The palace people who were serving here felt refreshed. At this time, the nanny guarding the queen's bed said in surprise, "The queen's breathing has stabilized a lot." Hearing this, divine Dr. Jiang was stunned. After a while, Shang Ruai ordered the doors and windows to be closed, and she walked towards the queen's bed. At this time, Jiang called her again. You are a man. How can you treat the queen? I am by her side. How to diagnose and treat, just tell me. Shang Ruai heard this and sneered. I have my own rules for how to treat. With your medical skills, I am afraid you are not qualified to help me. Jiang Anar has been respected in Fingyi Palace these days. The palace people will bow respectfully when they see her. Now she is being disgraced by her, and she is very dissatisfied. Master Lingjun looks younger than me. Even if he has learned medicine since his mother's, he probably doesn't know as much as I do. Why am I not worthy? Hee. Shang Ruai's eyes flashed with contempt. If you say so, I can cure the plague that Dr. Jiang can't cure. How can I say that?
This.
If what he said is true, men cannot treat women directly and must have a female doctor to assist them, then if a woman in the world is sick and there is no female doctor around, then there is no need to treat the disease. Just wait for death. Shang Ruai sneered. Even if there is a strict separation between men and women, you must know that in the eyes of doctors, there is no distinction between men and women, only patients. If you can't even do this, how can you practice medicine? After saying this, regardless of Jiang Anur's dark face, he pushed her aside and walked straight to the queen's bed. Looking at the bulging belly, he frowned slightly. Putting his hand on her wrist, a cold light flashed in Shang Ruai's eyes. She took out a silver needle from the medicine box and pierced the queen's fingertips. The black blood that flowed out was extremely viscous. She took out a little powder and sprinkled it on it. When the powder came into contact with the blood, it instantly turned black. Seeing this, she became more certain of her judgment. She said in a deep voice, "The queen is not poisoned at all. She is poisoned by a goo." Goo? When Dr. Jiang heard this, his heart skipped a beat. How could it be that she was poisoned? When he felt the pulse of the Empress, it was clear that she was poisoned. He strode forward. Don't talk nonsense. The Empress is clearly poisoned. Shang Ruai handed him the black liquid in the porcelain bowl. This is a special powder for testing the poison of the goo. The Empress is undoubtedly poisoned. Dr. Jiang was a little flustered. If this is the case, then wouldn't his previous diagnosis and efforts be a joke? Shang Ruai said in a deep voice, "This goo has been in the Empress's body for at least a year. It would not have taken effect so quickly, but after the Empress became pregnant, she took a lot of supplements. The goo worm absorbed too much nutrients and woke up early. The most worrying thing is that the goo worm seems to be dissatisfied with the present and wants to drill into the fetus. Now it is only 6 months pregnant. If the goo worm really enters the fetus, the dragon fetus will not survive." At this time, the emperor has received the news and strode into the bedroom. "You said that the queen was poisoned by the goo?" Shang Ruai nodded. "That's right. Most of the poisonous goo came from southern Xinjiang, and no one in Tianshan raised this kind of thing." She handed the black liquid to Emperor Tianshan. "This goo is extremely powerful. If it is not removed now, I am afraid the dragon fetus will be in danger." Hiss. How can this be possible? Is there any way to get rid of this goo worm? Shang Ruai sighed. Ordinary goo worms are easy to get rid of, but the poison in the queen's body is obviously very tricky. The goo worm has already awakened as an adult, which is far from comparable to the goo worm in its childhood. Shang Ruai held a silver needle in her hand and stabbed it into the queen's wrist. Suddenly, a bulge appeared under the skin of her abdomen.
What was that just now?
That is the awakened goo worm. Shang Ruai said in a low voice. When it grows up, the queen's hard work will be eaten up by it. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Although they had heard a lot about the witchcraft in southern Xinjiang, today was really an eye-opener. It is really hard to imagine how the person who raises goo puts the goo worm into the human body. Then, is there any way to take the goo worm out? Although there is a way, the queen is pregnant now and the risk is very high. If there is any mistake, the queen and the dragon fetus in her belly will be in danger. After hearing her words, even Emperor Tianshan was a little undecided. At this moment, the queen's abdomen bulged again. "It's moving. The goo worm is moving again," Emperor Tianshan said loudly. Shang Ruai looked at the bulge and said helplessly, "Your Majesty, this is fetal movement." Upon hearing this, Emperor Tianshun blushed and smiled awkwardly. Shang Ruai came to the queen's bed again and pricked her wrist with a silver needle. The poisonous insect moved again. She had thought of sealing the poisonous insect with a silver needle and then cutting the skin to take it out. However, the queen was pregnant now, and her belly was bulging. The location of the poisonous insect was relatively close to the fetus, so cutting the skin was too risky. But what other ways could be used to get it out of its current location? Spiritual spring water. Shang Ruai had a flash of inspiration. Use spiritual spring water to lure the poisonous insect out. The poisonous insect grew in the queen's flesh and blood and was extremely sensitive to the smell of any part of her body. Even beasts like lions and tigers had no resistance to spiritual spring water, let alone a small poisonous insect. At this time, Jiang and her stepped forward and whispered, "Master Lingjun is probably incapable of detoxifying the poison, so he just made up a lie that the queen was poisoned." Shang Ruai glanced at her. She had only thought that she was plain-looking before, but now it seemed that her brain couldn't be any plainer. "You didn't see the powder for testing the goo worm, or you didn't see the goo worm wriggling." Shang Ruai sneered. "Now I know why you have been with divine Dr. Jiang for so long, but your medical skills are still not up to par. It's really that your brain is not suitable for being a doctor, and it's easy to delay the treatment of patients." "How dare you slander me?" "Slander?" Shang Ruai sneered. "Do I need to slander? If you don't agree, you can ask divine Dr. Jiang if what I said is true, or ask the imperial doctors in the palace. They have no grudges against you, so they won't slander you." After she finished speaking, she ignored her and took out a porcelain bottle from the medicine box. It was filled with undiluted spiritual spring water. She cut the queen's arm with a knife, and suddenly, thick black blood flowed down. Everyone was amazed when they saw this. "What are you doing? Why did you cut the queen's arm?" The nanny shouted. "How can people like you harm our queen's phoenix body at will?" "Madam, do you want your queen's bones and blood to be eaten up by the poisonous insect, or do you want to save her?" "Of course, I want to save the queen." Shang Ruai raised her eyelids slightly and glanced at her. "I want your queen to recover, so don't disturb me." The nanny immediately shut up after hearing this. Shang Ruai used a silver needle to stop the bleeding and dripped a few drops of spiritual spring water on the wound. For a long time, the poisonous insect showed no signs of moving. Shang Ruai dripped some more. She looked at the location of the poisonous insect without missing a beat. Just when she thought her method had failed, suddenly, the poisonous insect moved visibly, and the next moment, it moved crazily towards the queen's arm. When the poisonous insect moved, the queen was in a coma, and her face instantly turned extremely pale. Not long after, the poisonous insect came near the wound. Shang Ruai originally wanted to directly cut the flesh to remove the goo, but that would inevitably leave an obvious scar on her arm, and even the best scar removal cream would be useless. Thinking of what the old princess said, if a woman had a scar on her body, it would be regarded as an ominous sign. Although she didn't care, would the queen and the emperor care? If the emperor cared, then the days in this deep palace would be particularly difficult. She thought about it and finally didn't do it. The goo worm stopped at an inch of the wound and stopped moving forward. Seeing this, Shang Ruai's eyes flashed with anxiety. If she delayed any longer, the wound would almost heal under the effect of the spiritual spring water. At that time, the goo worm would be difficult to remove. She dripped a few more drops of spiritual spring water. If it didn't show up again, she was afraid that she could only cut the flesh to remove the goo. Just as she was about to insert the needle, the goo worm finally couldn't resist the temptation and slowly moved forward. Not long after, a white flesh worm appeared in front of Shang Ruai. There was a lot of spiritual spring water in the wound, and the poisonous insect was very excited, exposing its fleshy body. At this moment, Shang Ruai seized the opportunity, pierced its body with a silver needle, and threw it out. The poisonous insect landed right at Jiang An'er's feet. She saw the fleshy insect twisting on the ground and screamed, "Ah!
Bug! Bug!"
The sharp voice spread throughout Fingy Palace. Dr. Jiang felt a chill on his back and hurried forward to cover her mouth. Dr. Jiang pulled Jiang to kneel on the ground. Your Majesty, my daughter does not know etiquette. Please forgive her for her young age. Emperor Tianshun was devoted to the queen, so how could he care about Jiang's father and daughter? Originally, if you were to lose etiquette in front of the palace, you would be punished with 50 strokes of the cane at the lightest and imprisonment at the worst. However, thinking that Dr. Jiang might be useful in the future, Emperor Tianshun suppressed his annoyance and said in a deep voice, "Get out." Dr. Jiang heard this. How dare he delay? He quickly pulled Jiang away. The prince came to the side of the poisonous insect, looked at the still twisting body, and said with disgust, "I didn't expect that there would be such a big poisonous insect in my mother's body. It's really terrible. Every time this poisonous insect wriggles, my mother must be very uncomfortable." At this time, Zhang walked in. "Your Majesty, concubine Zhao is here. Can you let the concubine come in?" Upon hearing this, Emperor Tianshun nodded. "Call her in." Concubine Zhao was wearing a pink floor-length robe and a white fox fur on her shoulders. There was not even a stray hair in the fox fur. She was holding a hot water bottle in her hands. Although she was in her 30s, she looked like a young girl in her 20s. "Your Majesty, I pay my respects to you. May your Majesty be blessed with good health." Concubine Zhao said softly. "Why did my beloved concubine come here today?" Concubine Zhao looked in the direction of the queen's bed. "I heard that Prince Bao invited a miracle doctor who could cure the queen's poison, so I came to see it." At this moment, she suddenly saw the white worm on the ground and was shocked. "This is it. Don't be afraid, mother." He Lingxing smiled. "This is the poisonous insect that the miracle Dr. Lingjun took out of the queen's body." The queen mother was not poisoned, but poisoned. Concubine Zhao was stunned when she heard this. Poisoned? Isn't the poisonous insect only found in southern Xinjiang? Immediately, she hurriedly said to the emperor, "Your Majesty, you must let the miracle doctor check you later." Then she heard concubine Zhao muttering, "This poisonous insect is actually in the queen's body. It's so terrible. If it were me, I'm afraid I would be scared to death." Emperor Tianshun was stunned when he heard this. "Yes. Just thinking about it makes my back cold." Emperor Tianshun looked at the bugs on the ground, then at the person on the bed, and a hint of disdain flashed across his eyes. Concubine Zhao had been with him for many years and knew his every move very well. Seeing the look in his eyes, she couldn't help but sneer in her heart. So, what if the queen is the most favored in the 6 palaces? It is said that the emperor is extremely fond of the queen and is infatuated with her, but today it seems that it is just so. It's just a poisonous insect, but he began to despise and hate it. I think that even if the queen recovers in the future, the emperor will no longer be willing to set foot here, let alone have any close contact with it. If this goes on, it won't be long before the queen is deposed. Shang Ruai bandaged the wound and checked the queen's body. After making sure there was no poisonous insect, she got up. At this moment, a palace maid came in with a bowl of medicine. The smell of the medicine came into her nose. Shang Ruai's eyes fell on the medicine bowl and asked in a low voice, "Where did you get this medicine from?" "My lord, this is the prescription that divine Dr. Jiang wrote for the queen." Shang Ruai frowned, took the medicine bowl, smelled it carefully, and confirmed that she had not made a mistake. The queen is almost well now, and there is no need to boil this medicine again in the future.
Yes.
Upon hearing this, the palace maid took the medicine bowl and retreated. Divine Dr. Jiang and his daughter were standing outside. When Divine Dr. Jiang saw that the medicine was brought out intact, his heart sank slightly. "Your Majesty." Shang Ruai stepped forward. "The queen is fine now, and she will recover after a few days of good care." "That's very good." Before Emperor Tianshun could speak, concubine Zhao said, "Please ask the divine doctor to check the emperor's pulse as well." The Emperor Tianshun also had this in mind. Shang Ruai looked at the look in his eyes, understood it in her heart, and hid the disdain in her eyes. It is said that emperors are ruthless, which is mostly true. It was just a poisonous insect, but he was so disgusted with it that he didn't even want to set foot in front of the queen's bed. Shang Ruai took his pulse and smiled. The emperor's kidney energy is insufficient. Perhaps he has been too overworked in recent days. He should rest more. Insufficient kidney energy? She did not lower her voice. On the contrary, her voice was louder than usual. Everyone inside and outside Fingy Palace heard it. Everyone lowered their heads and pretended that they didn't hear anything. The Emperor Tianshun had an extremely ugly expression. He was so bold to say that he had insufficient kidney energy. Shang Ruai looked at him clearly, as if she didn't think she had said anything extraordinary. Do you need me to prescribe a prescription for you? The Emperor Tianshun was about to say no, when he heard her say with a smile, the medicine will definitely cure the disease, and the effect is remarkable. Hearing her say this, Emperor Tianshun coughed. Seeing this, Inach Zhang beside him hurried forward with a smile on his face. Please write down the prescription and give it to me. I didn't expect that you are so young, but your medical skills are so superb. At this time, He Lingxing happened to be standing behind her. He was stunned when he saw her back. Why did she look so familiar? Shang Ruai noticed the gaze behind her, and her brows under the mask frowned slightly. She is now dressed as a man, so why does the prince look at her like this? In her memory, Shang Ruai should have no intersection with this prince. Your Highness, the prince is too kind. It's just the queen's illness, and I happen to know how to cure it. Shang Ruai smiled. I wonder if the notice posted by Your Highness the Prince before counts? Are you talking about medical books? Shang Ruai nodded. I set out for the capital as soon as I received the prince's letter, and I saw the notice from His Royal Highness the Crown Prince on the way. Now that I have cured the queen, I shamelessly come to His Royal Highness to ask for the medical book. He Lingxing smiled. What I said is of course counted. As long as my mother wakes up, I will definitely present it to her with both hands. He Lingxing smiled. So before my mother wakes up, I will trouble Master Lingjun to take care of Fingy Palace. Shang Ruai didn't want to leave immediately. After all, she still had to look for the emperor's private treasury. Only in this way would it be worth her coming all the way to the capital. Emperor Tianshun looked at the dead insects on the ground again, and said in a deep voice, Fourth brother, go and check for me. Find out how the poisonous insects from southern Xinjiang got into this palace. And how they got into the queen's body. Everything must be investigated clearly for me. Your son obeys your order. When concubine Zhao saw that Emperor Tianshun had recently frequently appointed the fourth prince, she felt a little uneasy. In the past, among all the princes, only the crown prince was valued by the emperor, so concubine Zhao didn't have to worry about anyone replacing He Lingxing's position. But now the fourth prince has repeatedly made remarkable achievements, and the plague that had stumped everyone has been successfully resolved. Now he has invited a genius doctor to detoxify the queen. Each of these things is difficult for ordinary people to accomplish. As the first prince with a title among the princes, she had to be more cautious. Her eyes fell on Shang Ruai, and a cold look flashed in her eyes. She had participated in He Lingqi's several meritorious deeds. If He Lingqi had the intention of seizing the throne, she would be the biggest help. Such a person must not be kept. She looked at her belly, smiled, and stepped forward and said, I have never asked a genius doctor to take my pulse. I wonder if Master Lingjun can take a look for me? Shang Ruai heard that and couldn't refuse, so for a moment, she raised her eyebrows slightly. Concubine Zhao is actually pregnant. Congratulations, Your Majesty. You are 2 months pregnant. Really? Concubine Zhao said in surprise. I am really pregnant? Yes, Your Majesty. Shang Ruai curled her lips. This concubine Zhao was really good at pretending. She had obviously drunk the medicine for preserving the pregnancy, but she still pretended not to know that she was pregnant. The women in the harem were really good at acting. Emperor Tianshun was pleasantly surprised when he heard this. Your Majesty, I heard that Master Lingjun is a miracle doctor. Can you let the miracle doctor take care of my baby this time? Concubine Zhao smiled and said, The miracle doctor diagnosed my pregnancy when he first entered the palace. This child may be destined to be with the miracle doctor. Upon hearing this, Shang Ruai looked at concubine Zhao with disdain. Does this woman think she is worth gold and silver, and everyone loves her? Why should she let him take care of her baby this time? Very good, very good. Emperor Tianshun was very pleased. He was about to issue an order when he heard Shang Ruai smile and say, I came here because of the poisoning of the queen. I will leave after staying in the capital for 7 days. I am afraid that I will not be able to help the concubine take care of her baby. Concubine Zhao did not expect that she would refuse so decisively. Emperor Tianshun's face was particularly ugly. His words were as important as an imperial decree, but she rejected them casually. This behavior showed that she did not take him seriously and trampled on the face of the royal family. Doctor, do you want to disobey the order? Shang Ruai smiled and said, Your Majesty, I am not disobeying the order, but I am good at poison and not proficient in keeping the baby. I am afraid that it will not help the imperial concubine to keep the baby. Moreover, judging from the pulse, the imperial concubine's pregnancy is very stable and will not consume too much energy at all. Are you serious? Really? Shang Ruai looked at the father and daughter of the Jiang family who were still standing outside. Dr. Jiang seems to be more suitable for keeping the baby for the empress. Emperor Tianshun thought about it and winked at the enraged Zhang beside him. Enraged Zhang hurriedly brought the two into the palace. At some point, snow began to fall outside, and the two were covered with white snowflakes. Jiang Enur's face turned blue and purple from the cold. When he was driven out of the palace, he was not wearing a robe, but only thin clothes. It was snowing, and his hands were stiff. Dr. Jiang, concubine Zhao is pregnant, and her pregnancy is in your hands. I will do my best. I thought he would be driven out of the palace, but I didn't expect the emperor to give me such an important task. Concubine Zhao was dissatisfied when she saw that the person who took care of her pregnancy was replaced so easily, but she didn't show it on her face. After all, if she offended the emperor in public, he might think she had lived too long. But if she wanted to get rid of this Dr. Lingjun, she had to find another way. Emperor Tianshun looked at concubine Zhao's belly, then looked at the empress who was still in a coma, and whispered to concubine Zhao, I'll go to your palace. Concubine Zhao was overjoyed, and a group of people left in a mighty manner. Before leaving, Jiang Enur glared at her fiercely, and her eyes were as sharp as a knife, as if she wanted to pierce her body. Shang Ruai lived in a side hall. At night, she changed into night clothes and left from the side door nimbly. There were not many guards in the side hall, and the patrolling soldiers passed by here only once in a long time. When she came here with He Lingqi during the day, she had already remembered it in her mind. She passed by a palace, and the sound of stringed instruments rang out, and from time to time there were a few women's laughter. She rubbed the goosebumps on her body. She didn't expect that concubine Zhao had so much energy, even though she was pregnant. At this time, a team of patrolling soldiers appeared. At this time, there was no place to hide around, so she had no choice but to flash into the space. After the patrol soldiers left, she was about to come out of the space when she heard the voice of Emperor Tianshun. Reward. I will definitely reward you heavily. Shang Ruai was shocked when she heard the words. Since it was a reward, he would definitely open a private treasury. However, before the smile on her face could be expanded, she heard Emperor Tianshun say again, You can take any item in my Yangxin Palace, as long as you like it. Shang Ruai couldn't help but curl her lips. This emperor was too stingy. It was agreed that the reward was to choose one from the things he used. With his poor appearance, he probably didn't have any private treasury. However, since the imperial concubine was allowed to choose in the Yangxin Palace, there might be some priceless things in it. She continued to walk forward. She hid when she passed by several patrols. However, the Yangxin Palace was surrounded by guards everywhere, and it was not easy to get in. She also found several hidden auras around the Yangxin Palace. She thought about it and took out a few rabbits from the space. The movement quickly attracted the attention of the guards. Most of the guards in the Yangxin Palace had gone, and she finally had the opportunity to enter the palace. At this time, there was no lighting in the Yangxin Palace. Fortunately, the moonlight was bright tonight, so although it was not very clear, she could still see roughly. This Yangxin Palace was indeed magnificent, and the decorations and furnishings inside were all exquisite. No wonder the emperor said that if she could choose any one of them in the Yangxin Palace, which one would not be priceless. Just as she was about to go inside, she heard a voice from outside. "Your Majesty, are you still going to Concubine Shu's place?" "No, I'm tired today. Send someone to tell Concubine Shu that I will go to see her tomorrow."
Yes.
At this time, a group of palace servants came in to light the lights, and the entire Yangxin Palace was instantly lit up, and Shang Ruoyi had already hidden in the space before the palace servants came. "Your Majesty, Prime Minister Shang wants to see you." Emperor Tianshun frowned. This Shang Nian, why is he not sleeping well in the mansion in the middle of the night and coming to the palace? Prime Minister Shang said he wants to see you for something important. Let him get in. Shang Nian walked in quickly, holding a letter in his hand. "Your humble servant greets His Majesty." Emperor Tianshun waved his hand. "If you feel free, you can guard the city gate for me. I see that you are now old and strong, and you don't even need to sleep at night." Shang Nian heard that, and cold sweat broke out on his back, and hurriedly knelt on the ground again. Your Majesty, I do have something important to report."
"Tell me."
Shang Ruoyi was standing behind Emperor Tianshun at this time, and rolled her eyes at Shang Nian, who was kneeling on the ground. The important matters her father mentioned were nothing more than calculating other people's things. "I don't know which mansion will suffer today. Your Majesty, I was about to go to bed today when a flying knife suddenly flew in, along with this letter." He presented the letter. "Your Majesty, the letter says that Prince Ding's leg has recovered." Shang Ruoyi in the space put away the smile on her face, her expression stern, and looked at the letter in Emperor Tianshun's hand with sharp eyes. Not only did it say that He Jingheng's leg had recovered, but even Su Ziluo was mentioned. Her heart sank. Who was watching their every move? Humph, the Dinghua Palace is really restless. Emperor Tianshun frowned. "It seems that I was too kind at the beginning." "Yes, Your Majesty. Why don't we take this opportunity to uproot the Dinghua Palace and execute them all?" Shang Nian's eyes flashed with a fierce light. "Pull out your uncle." Shang Ruoyi almost threw the peel in her hand at his face. How could her father be so bad? Did the Dinghuang Palace provoke him? Haha, my dear minister, you really put justice above your relatives. Don't forget that your concubine's daughter is also among them. Shang Ruoyi snorted coldly. Shang Nian might have forgotten his concubine's daughter a long time ago. If I can share the worries of the emperor, let alone a concubine's daughter, even if it takes my life, I will not hesitate at all. Shang Nian said righteously, but Shang Ruoyi sneered. Wouldn't hesitate at all? If he knew that the emperor had thoughts of getting rid of him, Shang Nian would probably be the first to rebel. Now, those traitors in the Dinghuang Palace have not made any noise in the place of exile, and Huan has not been found. It is not so easy to punish them. Although the Dinghuang Palace was sealed, its influence in the hearts of the people of Tianshun still exists. If the cause is unfounded, it will probably arouse public anger. Your Majesty, why don't you just draft a charge like before? Shang Nian said with a smile. Emperor Tianshun narrowed his eyes. It's a good idea. Shang Ruoyi heard the plan of the monarch and his minister clearly in the space. She rolled up her sleeves, with a faint smile on her face. If her teammates in the previous life saw her like this, they would definitely sweat for her opponents. Shang Ruoyi looked at the two people outside the space, and the gun in her hand was already equipped with a silencer. The two people were so close that she could their heads off as long as she pulled the trigger. After a while, she put her hand down again. If Emperor Tianshun was killed now, the prince would ascend the throne. Now He Lingqi has the intention to seize the throne again, and He Jingheng is also involved. If He Lingsheng is a wise ruler, it would be fine. If not, there will be another bloody storm, and the real victims are the common people. Thinking of this, she suppressed the murderous intent in her heart. She looked at Shang Nian, this old man. It seems that he has to find something to do. Send someone to secretly investigate the Dinghua Palace. If it is true as the letter says, I will definitely eradicate it.
Yes.
After Shang Nian left, Emperor Tianshun sat on the chair and suddenly turned around to look at where Shang Ruai was. Shang Ruai's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that he could see her? With a smile in his eyes, Emperor Tianshun stood up and walked over. She suddenly felt the hairs on her body stand up. Seeing that Emperor Tianshun was just an inch away from her, he raised his hand and pressed it on a white porcelain vase behind him. With a slight turn, the wall next to him slowly opened, and it was filled with gold, silver, and jewelry. Emperor Tianshun walked in, looked at the treasures in the room, and picked up 2 jade articles. After coming out, he turned the vase again, and the door closed automatically. Shang Ruai saw all this and was overjoyed. Unexpectedly, the private storehouse of Emperor Tianshun was in this Yangxin palace. At this time, Inut Zhang came in. "Your Majesty, it's getting late. You should go to bed early." Emperor Tianshun handed him the jade in his hand. "Send this to concubine Zhao." He handed him another jade bracelet. "Send this to concubine Xu." "I'll do it right away." Just as Inut Zhang was about to turn around and leave, he heard him sigh. "Your Majesty, do you have any other instructions?" "Give me the bracelet. I'll go see concubine Xu in person." "Go in person?" Shang Ruai's lips curled slightly. Isn't this opportunity coming to her? After they all left, Shang Ruai walked out of the space, gently turned the white porcelain vase, and the wall opened again. Shang Ruai flashed in. When she saw what was inside clearly, her heart was slightly shocked. The private vault was very large, and there were countless rare treasures inside. Gold and silver became the least valuable things. TSK, 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 no wonder everyone wants to be an emperor. If I knew how rich being an emperor is, I would want to be one too. Without too much sighing, she waved her hand and put all the treasures in the private storehouse into the space. "This is the interest for your persecution of loyal people." She flashed out of the space and restored it to its original state. She returned to the side hall carefully. She just entered the inner room and was about to change out of her nightgown, when suddenly her fingers paused and a silver light flashed in her hand, and a handful of silver needles flashed. "TSK, your perception is really sharp." A man's voice came out. Shang Ruai felt relieved and breathed a sigh of relief. "Why are you here?" She looked at He Jingheng, who was drinking tea in the inner room, and whispered, "How dare you walk around in this palace casually? Aren't you afraid of being discovered? You are a person who doesn't even have martial art skills, but you can come and go freely in this palace, aren't you?" He looked at her dress and couldn't help laughing. "Are you going to steal?" "Almost." Shang Ruai went behind the screen to take off her nightgown and put on a robe. As soon as she came out, a warm, hot water bottle was stuffed in her hand. "Is it true that the queen was poisoned by a goo?" Shang Ruai nodded. "It is indeed a goo worm. Those people in southern Xinjiang actually reached their hands into the queen's palace. They are getting bolder and bolder." Shang Ruai said nothing, and a puzzled look flashed in her eyes. Was this goo worm really planted by people in southern Xinjiang? She suddenly remembered the conspiracy between Shang Nian and Emperor Tianshun in the Yangxin Palace just now. "You mean they want to repeat the same trick?" He Jingheng sneered. Shang Ruai nodded. "I think that's what they planned." A hint of anger appeared on He Jingheng's face. After a while, he sighed. "You should rest early. I'll go back first." After he finished speaking, his figure flashed and flew away through the window. Shang Ruai lay on the bed, looking at the hot water bottle beside her pillow, and slowly fell asleep. The next morning, she came to Fengyi Palace early. At this time, the queen had already woken up. When she saw Shang Ruai, a smile emerged on her face. "You must be the genius Dr. Lingjun." "I am Lingjun, and I am here to meet the queen." "No need to be polite, genius doctor." The queen smiled and said, "I cannot accept the greeting from the genius doctor. If it were not for you, I would be in great danger." Shang Ruai said nothing, but just looked at her steadily. Seeing this, the queen asked, "Why are you looking at me like this, genius doctor?" She walked forward and put the medicine box on the low table next to her. Her voice was so low that only the two of them could hear it. Why does your majesty want to put yourself in danger? As soon as she finished speaking, the queen's face changed suddenly, and she winked at the nanny next to her. The nanny understood, dismissed the palace people, and retreated to the outer room. The queen's tone was not as gentle as before, and she said in a deep voice, "You are worthy of the name of a miracle doctor. You can even discover such a hidden thing. Actually, it's not difficult. There is a very small scar on the inside of your arm. It is a sign of women who raise goo. The scar is not easy to be noticed on the inside, and it is obvious that the scar was left by repeated punctures and repeated blood draws." The queen looked at her steadily and suddenly laughed. "I didn't expect that I had concealed the truth for so many years, but a little girl like you could see through it so easily." Shang Ruai raised her eyebrows slightly. This queen was really not simple. She was wearing a mask and wrapped herself very tightly, but she could see that she was a girl at a glance. "Does the queen want to make a deal with me?" The queen looked at her with a smile on her face. "I like dealing with smart people the most." She stretched out her hand. Shang Ruai was stunned for a moment. The queen looked at her. "You have never served anyone?" "To be honest with you, your majesty, I have never served anyone." After she finished speaking, she helped the queen up. The queen sat up straight and touched her bulging belly. "Is the child safe? Since your majesty knows the art of witchcraft, your medical skills must be very superb." Shang Ruai brushed her sleeves. "Even if I don't come to remove the poison, you will wake up within a month. But the fetus in her belly might not survive." The queen looked at her. A dark light flashed in her eyes. "I really can't underestimate you. You even know such things. It's just a guess. It doesn't count." Shang Ruai put her hand on her pulse. "Your majesty is in good health now. The dragon fetus in your belly is safe. Now that the poison has been resolved, your majesty can rest assured." She stood up and turned around to pack the medicine box. The queen looked at her back with a hint of murderous intent in her eyes. She was just about to take out the dagger under the pillow when she heard Shang Ruai say faintly, "Your majesty has just recovered from a serious illness. It's better not to make too big movements to prevent injury." The queen's hand squatted in place, turned her head to look at her, and found that Shang Ruai didn't even look back and was busy packing the medicine box.
Who are you?
The queen's voice was cold. "My name is Ling Jun, and I have just introduced myself." Shang Ruai said with a smile, "My queen, if you want to trade, you must show your sincerity. It is not good for you to try to hurt someone in the dark." Just then, there was a commotion outside, and Shang Ruai smiled. Perhaps the private vault was discovered. As expected, a group of guards surrounded the entire Fingy Palace. "Go outside and see what's wrong with someone." As soon as the queen finished speaking, the palace maid opened the door of the outer room. "Your majesty, the commander of the Imperial Guards has been ordered to search for the thief."
How dare you?
The head nanny stepped forward and slapped the palace maid in the face. "Your majesty is still ill, and you are so bold as to open the palace gate privately to let the guards in. It's because your majesty is too lenient on weekdays, and you have allowed you to do whatever you want." The palace maid knelt on the ground and cried, "I know I was wrong, and I beg your majesty to have mercy on me." The queen looked at Shang Ruai and saw that her hands were still calm and unhurried. She thought that the thief had nothing to do with him. She coughed twice and said lightly, "Forget it, don't blame me. Just say that I am tired. There are no thieves in Fingy Palace. Let them look for it somewhere else." "Yes." The commander of the Imperial Guards wanted to leave when he heard the queen say this, but he thought that the palace gate was closed when he came in, and it was possible that the thief had already kidnapped the queen. He said in a deep voice, "Your Majesty, I am following the Emperor's decree to search all the palaces. There must not be any omissions, otherwise I will not be able to report. I hope your Majesty is weak, and I will just take a look and leave." The queen frowned, and a murderous look flashed in her eyes, but it was quickly hidden. The head nanny walked to the inner room and said softly, "Your Majesty, change my clothes." When the commander of the Imperial Guards came in, the queen was sitting in the main seat, and Shang Ruai was standing below her. "Lord Wen, you can send someone to search and see if there are any thieves in my Fingy Palace." The queen snorted coldly. Besides me and the head nanny, there is only the divine Dr. Lingjun invited by the emperor for me. Your Majesty, please calm down. I am just following your orders. When Gang said in panic, I have no intention of disrespecting your Majesty. The head nanny stepped forward and said coldly, if you want to search the palace, please hurry up. Your Majesty has just recovered from a serious illness and cannot be tired. Otherwise, if the emperor blames you, you will not be able to bear the consequences. Yes, yes, I understand. He waved his hand, and the guards walked into the palace with long swords on their waists. After searching, nothing was found. When Gang had a flattering smile on his face, Your Majesty, I have searched the palace. There are no thieves in Fingy Palace. You can rest assured. I have nothing to worry about. I am afraid that it is you who is worried. The queen glanced at him. If there is nothing, I am tired. When Gang hurriedly led his men out after hearing what the queen said. When he walked outside, his men cried and said, Your Majesty, we have searched the entire palace from top to bottom. Where is the trace of the thief? Of course they couldn't find it. After all, they had just left the thief. At this time, in the Yangxin Palace, Emperor Tianshun looked at his empty private storehouse, and his eyes were about to burst. The rare treasures, gold and silver bricks, calligraphy and paintings, jade wares and rare treasures from other countries, Dongzhu Yeming pearl, and countless rare treasures, all disappeared. If you want to take the things in here away, it is impossible without dozens of people. However, the palace is heavily guarded at all times, and it is impossible to take things away under their noses. But now, the treasures in the room have disappeared. Emperor Tianshun forced himself not to fall down. Investigate. Investigate for me. No matter what method you use, you must catch the thieves for me. I will tear them into pieces. His treasures. The treasures he has saved for so many years were stolen overnight. How could he accept it? At this moment, he suddenly remembered what Shangnian had said. The treasures in the warehouse of the Dinghua Palace disappeared strangely, and his concubine's dowry was also stolen. However, the boxes of gold and silver were still in the warehouse, but the boxes in his private warehouse that were used to store these treasures were gone. Shang Ruai originally didn't want to leave the box behind, but before she left, she suddenly found that the boxes were surrounded by gold. It was worthy of the emperor's private warehouse. Even the boxes were gold, so she took them away. Each of those boxes weighed over 100 pounds. How could he walk out of the palace of tranquil longevity with the boxes in full view of so many people? Your Majesty, we didn't find any tunnels nearby, nor any suspicious footprints. Then tell me, where did all the treasures in the private storehouse go? He slammed the table hard, and the teacups on the table fell to the ground, and the scalding tea splashed on Wen Gang without a drop falling. If you can't find them, you will be beheaded. Wen Gang was horrified. This, let alone himself. Even if all the masters of the Dali Temple investigated together, there might not be a result. Now this task was given to him. Wouldn't it be like asking for his life? At this moment, a masked figure flashed before his eyes, and when Gang hurriedly said, Your Majesty, I think there is a person who is very suspicious. Who? The Lingjun doctor in Fingy Palace. He whispered. He just entered the palace, and the emperor's private storehouse was robbed. How could it be such a coincidence? Upon hearing this, Emperor Tianshun shouted angrily, What nonsense are you talking about? How can she move all the treasures in the storehouse by herself? Do you have a brain? When Gang was so scared that he knelt on the ground, Your Majesty, calm down. I, your humble servant, will check it now. Emperor Tianshun clenched his fists and looked at the door of the private storehouse. He couldn't help but hold his forehead, his heart pounding. He stood up, felt dizzy, and fell straight down. The news of the emperor's fainting spread throughout the palace in an instant. The queen and concubine Zhao were pregnant and could not serve him, so this hard job fell on concubine Shu. When Shang Ruai heard the news in Fingy Palace, her eyebrows slightly raised. She didn't expect that the emperor could not stand such setbacks. It saved her the trouble of poisoning him. She originally planned to take a stroll in the Yangxing Palace when she had time and give the emperor some non-lethal but more torturous poison so that he would not have the energy to cause trouble for the Dinghua Palace in a short period of time. Unexpectedly, he fell ill by himself. The queen looked at her and whispered, "Did you take the things in the Yangxing Palace? Your Majesty really thinks highly of me." She handed the written list to the head nanny. 1 dose a day. Take before lunch. I am a commoner? How could she not see it at all? Since you can remove poison, you must have a master. Who is your master? Is it difficult to remove poison? Shang Ruai shrugged. To be honest, I really don't have a master. It's just that I liked to read some books on Qi Men Dunjia when I was young, and I just figured out how to remove poison by myself. The queen leaned back in her chair, her eyes flashing with admiration, telling a lot of lies. She actually liked this girl's personality. Judging from your accent, you must be from the capital. Shang Ruai curled the corners of her lips. Your Majesty, you are from southern Xinjiang. How come you know the dialects of so many places? The queen was exhausted. I think you don't want this little life anymore. How dare you talk to me like this? Your Majesty, since you are from southern Xinjiang, the most important thing is to save your own life first. Shang Ruai's tone was full of indifference. If you hadn't done a favor to a certain family in the past, I would not even bother to look at the prince taking out the books left by the medical saint today, even if it was the medical god. The queen was stunned when she heard this. The next moment, she suddenly stood up and walked quickly to Shang Ruai. What is your relationship with the Dinghua Palace? Your Majesty, there are some things that it is better not to know the answer to. There was an intriguing light in the eyes under the mask. The head nanny stepped forward, supported the queen, and said softly, Your Majesty, take care of yourself and don't disturb the prince in your belly. The queen slowly sat on the dragon chair, touched her belly, and whispered, Okay, I only want to ask you one thing. The old princess, is she okay? The old princess? She was actually asking about the old princess? Shang Ruai frowned slightly. She thought the queen would be for Prince Ding Hiyuan. The old princess is in good health. Your Majesty, don't worry. The queen closed her eyes, and a line of clear tears slowly fell. She said to the head nanny beside her, Bring me the handkerchief I put in the sandalwood box. The head nanny paused. Your Majesty. She looked at Shang Ruai, her eyes full of suspicion. That handkerchief is so important to you. It doesn't matter. The queen whispered, Since she already knows my identity, I have nothing to hide. She looked at Shang Ruai and smiled. Let me guess, are you here this time because Heng'a asked you to? Shang Ruai did not answer, and the queen knew the answer. What is your relationship with the Prince Ding's palace? You will know later. The queen looked at her with a much kinder look than before and said lightly, With your ability, if you were not disfigured, you would be a pretty girl. Marrying Heng'er would be a help, much better than the concubine of that old man Shangnian. When I think that the prince actually married a concubine as his principal wife, I feel as if I had eaten a fly. Shang Ruai looked at her, without a trace of ripples in her eyes. Your Majesty, is there a possibility that the disgusting woman who is like a fly in your mouth is standing in front of you? Have you seen that concubine named Shang something? What is her character like? What does she look like? Shang Ruai was angry and amused. This queen was actually quite cute. The crown prince's concubine is ugly and behaves in a manner. She is not much better than a countrywoman. The queen looked her up and down and nodded. That's true. Before she could savor the queen's words, she heard a noisy sound coming from outside again. Concubine Zhao led a group of palace servants and guards behind her into Fingy Palace. The queen sat on the phoenix chair and looked at Concubine Zhao, who came in with a smile. Noble Concubine Zhao, it's really too much for you to come here with such a big crowd to pay your respects to me today. This palace is not a den of tigers and wolves. Why do you need to bring so many people? I pay my respects to the Empress. Noble Concubine Zhao bowed, and before the Empress asked her to stand up, she stood up by herself with a smug look on her face. Your Majesty, I came here today first to pay my respects to you, and second, to catch the thief. She waved her hand and looked at Shang Ruai. Catch her for me and interrogate her severely. She must have stolen the treasures from the emperor's private treasury. Shang Ruai expected that she was coming for her, and there was no panic on her face. She walked forward and sneered. Where is the evidence? If noble concubine Zhao wants to arrest me, she just needs to show the evidence. Humph. The treasures in the emperor's private treasury have never been lost, but after you entered the palace, the treasures were stolen. If it wasn't you who stole it, who else could it be? Her eyes were fierce. I'm not afraid that you won't confess. Once I take you to jail, you'll confess everything. She waved her jade hand lightly, and the imperial guards behind her came towards her with swords in hand. At this moment, the queen on the main seat said coldly, "Stop. I'll see who dares to take another step forward." Upon hearing this, the guards hurriedly stopped. "Queen, are you in cahoots with her?" The queen sneered. "Concubine Zhao, you, a concubine, dared to break into my Fingy palace with guards holding sharp blades. I think you've had enough of living. I'm here to track down the thieves." "You're tracking down the thieves, and you've come to my Fingy palace?" "Concubine Zhao, you're overstepping your authority." "Empress, I am the birth mother of the prince, and I have the power to assist the 6 palaces. How can I be presumptuous in tracking down the thief?" Concubine Zhao raised her chin slightly, her eyes full of pride. "So, what if she is the birth mother of the prince? I am the legitimate mother, so what if you are the imperial concubine or the imperial concubine? Without sitting on my throne, you are no different from those concubines to me, just a concubine." The queen handed the jade in her hand to the head nanny. "How dare you, a mere concubine, come to Fingy Palace and make trouble? It seems that I am too lenient with you on weekdays." When concubine Zhao heard this, veins on her forehead were exposed, but every word the queen said made sense. She was just a concubine, and it was indeed presumptuous to want to take someone away from the queen, but now that the emperor was in a coma, this was the best opportunity to deal with the genius Dr. Ling Jun. She would definitely allow those who threaten her son's succession to the throne to live, and would rather kill 1,000 people by mistake than let one go. After all, which emperor ascended the throne with a smooth journey? Who didn't step on the corpses of others to ascend the throne? She looked at Wengang behind her, who understood what she meant and walked to Shangruoi. "Mr. Ling Jun, please come with me." A silver needle slipped into her hand, and just when she was about to take action, the queen's majestic voice came. "Today, I will put my words here. Without the emperor's order, no one can take anyone away from Fingy Palace. Those who violate it will be considered treason." As soon as the voice fell, no one dared to say another word. Treason means the execution of 9 clans. Shang Ruai's lips curled slightly. This queen seemed not bad. Concubine Zhao's face flushed, but she couldn't say a word of rebuttal. She turned around and was about to leave, when she heard the queen say faintly, "You are even more ignorant of etiquette. You left before you even greeted the emperor. Who taught you the rules?" Concubine Zhao had no choice but to pay her respects in a proper manner. She dared to leave only after hearing the queen's order to leave. The servants and guards who came with her left in disgrace. Concubine Zhao returned to the palace, picked up things and threw them down. "I'm so angry. I'm so angry." She threw the vase on the ground, panting. "She dares to humiliate me like this, relying on herself as the queen. I'm the mother of the prince. How dare she? How dare she?" Bishi standing aside consoled her. "Don't be angry, madam. You have to look at the dragon baby in your belly." Concubine Zhao touched her belly and sneered. "Dragon baby? Oh, I tried every means to get pregnant with a dragon baby. But what's the result? The emperor rewarded me with a broken jade hairpin, and I ran to concubine Shu with a jade bracelet. Everyone wants to compete with me. Why does everyone want to compete with me? Even if the dragon baby is broken, it can't compare to that which concubine Shu." She swept the teapot on the table to the ground, and the splashing tea fell on her shoes. The slightly scalding temperature eased her out-of-control emotions a little. "My queen, no matter how angry you are, you have to take care of yourself. When the prince ascends the throne in the future, you will be the queen mother in name only. The queen will not dare to do anything to you, but how to take revenge is up to you, isn't it up to you?" "Bishi, Words made concubine Zhao feel relieved. Yes. When the new emperor ascends the throne in the future, she will be the queen mother. When she wants to torture her, isn't it up to you? Seeing that her mood has eased a lot, Bishi ordered the servants to come in and clean up. At this time, concubine Zhao said slowly, "What is the name of the fruit that the prince sent to me some time ago?" "My queen, it's called strawberry. Although it's a bit sour, I really want to eat it now." She touched her still flat belly. "I guess this child wants to eat it." "My queen, there is a folk rumor that sour boys and spicy girls, your baby may be a little prince." Bishi knew what concubine Zhao wanted to hear. It would be good if it's a prince. She smiled. "Send someone to ask where else we can get this fruit called strawberry." The news that the emperor was in a coma due to anger spread out of the palace, and people in the court and the country were in panic. The people of the prince's lineage were secretly waiting for news. In their view, if the emperor was bedridden, the prince would be involved in government affairs and it wouldn't take long for him to completely control the court. By then, it would be unknown whether the emperor's health could recover. In fact, they hoped that Emperor Tianshun would die at this point. He Lingxing seemed to be extremely anxious, but in fact, the imperial physician and Dr. Jiang who treated the emperor were both members of the prince's party, and they naturally didn't want the emperor to recover. In the evening, He Jingheng came to the side hall again, and Shang Rui asked in a low voice, "I see that you are very idle all day long. What do you think this palace is? You can come and go freely." He Jingheng frowned and said in a low voice, "Can you cure the emperor's illness?" Shang Rui just took a sip of tea and spat it all out. "Cough, cough, cough, what did you say?" "Ask her to treat the emperor?" "The emperor's illness. He has harmed your Dingwa palace to this point, and you are still thinking about saving him. Are you a bodhisattva?" He Jingheng sighed. "If he dies, the court will be in turmoil, and maybe disaster will come."
Disaster?
What disaster can it be? When the previous emperor dies and the prince ascends the throne, the Zhao family will rule the entire court. The prince is not yet fully grown and is not strong enough to fight with the Zhao family. At that time, the monarch will not be the monarch, the ministers will not be the ministers, and the foreign relatives will interfere in politics, and there will inevitably be unrest. Shang Rui drank the rest of the tea and curled her lips and said, "You are an exiled prisoner, but you still worry about the affairs of the royal family. When you were exiled by the Dingwa palace, people were not soft-hearted at all, and even wanted to put you to death. The monarch changes, the court is shaken, the world is in chaos, and the people are miserable. We in the Dingwa palace can ignore the emperor's life or death, but we can't put the people in dire straits." He Jingheng's face was stern, and he said seriously, "As a sharp sword, the Dingwa palace will never be wielded against the people." Shang Rui's heart was slightly shocked. This sentence ran through her previous life. Because of this, she could better understand He Jingheng's feelings. "Forget it." She took out a porcelain bottle. "Let someone give him this to drink, and he will wake up soon." The porcelain bottle contained spiritual spring water. When she thought that Emperor Tianshun was anxious, perhaps there was something extremely important among these treasures. Her mind searched in the space, and a square box caught her attention. When she opened it, she found that there was a seal inside. She blinked and asked a little embarrassedly, a seal that is slightly larger than your fist, all golden with a dragon on it. What is that seal?" He Jingheng narrowed his eyes slightly. "Are you talking about the jade seal?" It was over. She actually stole the jade seal. No wonder the old emperor became ill due to anger. It seems that she has to find a chance to return the jade seal. Seeing the change in her expression, He Jingheng did not ask, but he could probably conclude that the theft in the palace was related to her. However, if she really took the jade seal away, He Lingxing would not be able to ascend the throne for a while. It is also a good thing. At this moment, the door of the side hall was knocked. "Divine Doctor, Divine Doctor." The voice of the guard Inren beside He Lingqi rang. "Divine Doctor, are you resting?" "Not yet." She tightened her robe, and just as she was about to get up and open the door, her wrist was grabbed by a big hand. "What's wrong?" She followed He Jingheng's gaze and looked at her somewhat messy clothes. She gathered them up casually and couldn't help but find it funny. In their eyes, "I'm just young Master Lingjun, a man. What's wrong with being a man?" He Jingheng said coldly, "Put on the human skin mask on your face." He didn't forget the looks those men gave her when she returned to her female body, making him want to dig out their eyeballs. Shang Ruai opened the door, and Yin Rin said anxiously, "Divine Doctor, Prince Bao is affectionate." "Wait a minute, I'll prepare the medicine box." Yin Rin looked inside the room and saw He Jingheng in a black robe sitting on a chair drinking tea. Yin Ren's heart skipped a beat. Prince Ding was actually here. He Jingheng looked over, and Yin Ren hurriedly lowered his head. Shang Ruai came out carrying a medicine box, and Yin Ren hurriedly took the box. "Divine Doctor, I'll carry it for you." "Thank you." How could Yin Ren dare to thank him? He led the way enthusiastically. Just as Shang Ruai thought, Yin Ren took her to the Yangxin Palace. "Divine Doctor, you must have received the news in the palace that the Emperor is seriously ill, and the Prince specially asked you to go over. If you can wake the Emperor up, you will be the benefactor of the entire Tianshan." Shang Ruai smiled. "It is my honor to do my best for the Emperor and the Prince." After saying this, she felt a little sick. As soon as she entered the palace, she heard Divine Dr. Jiang say, "The Emperor's heart fire is very strong. I'm afraid it will be difficult for him to wake up." Shang Ruai couldn't help but roll her eyes. Isn't it just anger? How serious can it be? He still can't wake up. Is it really that he can't wake up, or they don't want the Emperor to wake up? "Royal brother, I have sent people to Fengyi Palace to invite Lingjun, the genius doctor. The two genius doctors can treat father's condition together. Maybe it will help." Healing Qi said softly, "I believe they will be here soon." "Fourth brother, don't trust genius Dr. Jiang?" He Lingsheng said coldly, "Genius Jiang is the personal physician appointed by father himself. The genius Dr. Lingjun has just entered the palace. His medical skills and character are yet to be verified. Father's dragon body is at stake, and not everyone can diagnose father's pulse." Healing Qi was about to refute when he heard Shang Rui's voice. "Your Highness the Crown Prince doesn't trust my medical skills?" She walked forward and saluted, then straightened up before he could speak, with a hint of disdain in her words. "Since your Highness does not trust me, why bother to ask me to come here with the medical sage's book as a token?" He Lingxing narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, "Young Master Lingjun, after all, you are still young, and your father's body is precious. I will definitely not use a doctor who is not recognized by your father." "Not recognized by the Emperor?" Shang Ruai smiled and said to Anuch Zhang, who was standing at the door, "Anuch Zhang, did the Emperor take the prescription I wrote for him that night?" "Yes." "Did your Highness hear it?" Shang Ruai stretched out her hand, and Yin Ren hurriedly handed her the medicine box. "Your Highness, I want to treat the Emperor. I hope your Highness will approve." Shang Ruai looked at him with clear eyes. "If I am unable to treat him, I am willing to follow your Highness's orders." He Lingxing thought for a moment and nodded. "Since Master Lingjun has such great confidence, I will believe you this time. Don't forget your promise." Shang Ruai came to the dragon couch with the medicine box. Dr. Jiang looked at her and snorted. Master Lingjun is really shameless. He dared to issue a military order in front of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. If he can't cure the Emperor, he is not afraid of being dragged out and beheaded and losing his life in vain. Haha, Dr. Jiang is really old and likes to worry about other people's affairs. Shang Ruai sneered. "My grandfather was extremely long-lived and lived over 100 years old. Does Dr. Jiang know the secret?" "What secret?" "As a doctor, he naturally admires longevity. Never meddle in other people's business." As soon as Shang Ruai finished speaking, she saw Dr. Jiang's face flushed, and his beard was curled up with anger. The palace servants around him lowered their heads and held back their laughter. "Humph, I have good intentions, but you don't want to listen." Shang Ruai stepped forward, and after taking his pulse, it was indeed as Dr. Jiang had diagnosed. It was not a serious illness, but he was holding his breath in his heart, which was neither going up nor down, so he had not woken up for a long time. All he had to do was let the air out of his heart. Shang Ruai took out the silver needles, inserted a few needles into the acupuncture points on his body, and another needle into his heart. She gently moved the tails of the needles, and saw that the silver needles trembled at the same time. Everyone was amazed to see such a scene. Even Dr. Jiang was amazed. Not long after, Emperor Tianshun, who was lying on the dragon couch, opened his mouth slightly and slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air. Seeing this, Shang Ruai pulled out the silver needles, took out a porcelain bottle from the medicine box, and poured the spiritual spring water into his mouth. Her movements were not gentle, and were even a little rude. Two of Emperor Tianxuan's beards were pulled out. The palace servants who were serving on the side were almost scared to death when they saw this. "What did you give father to eat?" He Lingxing said in a deep voice. "If there is any problem with the food, I will take your life." Shang Ruai glanced at him coldly. "Your Highness the Crown Prince, do you know why those truly skilled doctors are unwilling to come to the court to serve?" Her words made everyone present hold their breath. Among them, Dr. Jiang had the ugliest look. Didn't she mean that his medical skills were not high? "What did you say?" He Lingxing said angrily. "You must have the attitude of asking for help when asking for treatment. Do you think that people with truly superb medical skills care about the salary and status given by the court?" Shang Ruai snorted coldly. "In the eyes of doctors, there are only patients and healthy people. Commoners and dignitaries are all treated equally in the face of disease. Could it be that the plague will be scared away because the crown prince is in a high position?" Shang Ruai glanced at him and saw that his face was livid as she continued. "I have never heard of any miracle doctor in this world who starved to death because he had no money to eat. On the contrary, those who can be called miracle doctors will be treated as honored guests no matter where they are, whether in Tianshan, the western regions, or southern Xinjiang. They will starve to death if they leave you." Shang Ruai looked at Divine Dr. Jiang. Divine Dr. Jiang is different from those of us who yearn for a leisurely life. Divine Dr. Jiang is willing to kowtow at an old age. This is something we can't learn. He Lingxing's face looked rather ugly when he heard this. If he could, he wished he could eat her alive. Divine Dr. Jiang also stared at her unkindly. When she said that, wasn't she saying that he was unworthy of his position and was a person who was seeking fame and reputation? He had finally climbed to his current position. How could he let her ruin his bright future? Mr. Lingjun's words are righteous, but whether it was the last plague or this time to detoxify the queen, Mr. Lingjun seemed to be willing to help because of extremely generous rewards. Divine Dr. Jiang sneered. "In my opinion, doctors should be kind-hearted and should not be greedy for gold, silver, and treasures, nor should they be greedy for rewards." What a joke. Shang Ruai couldn't help laughing out loud. "So, Dr. Jiang has developed some new way of health preservation? Or a way of survival?" Dr. Jiang paused. "What do you mean? Isn't that what you mean?" Shang Ruai snorted coldly. "Don't you mean that you can live without eating? Doctors don't covet money and rewards, so how can they eat? How can they eat and dress warmly? How can they live? Do they rely on the belief of, 'I am a doctor. I must do my best for the people all day long'?" Dr. Jiang paused. Old man means that food and daily life are guaranteed." Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Shang Ruai. "If everyone in the world thinks like you, wouldn't it be the heyday of the peaceful era? Your Highness, you really invited a miracle doctor with extremely high morals. You only need to ensure the food and daily life of Dr. Jiang and his daughter, and you don't even need to pay them a salary." Divine Dr. Jiang didn't expect her to say that. His heart sank. If she did that, wouldn't she be shooting herself in the foot? If he didn't need the money, why would he come here to be humble? He was just thinking about marrying his daughter into the prince's mansion so that she could enjoy endless wealth and glory. If a Nur could become a concubine or even a queen one day, he could also benefit from it. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant? What does that mean? Shang Ruai sneered. "I'm sorry that I don't have such a high level of awareness as you. I still have a big family to support. In the future, I will have to set up a new house. I have to serve my elders and raise children. If I do, as Dr. Jiang said, I'm afraid my family will starve to death." She cupped her hands. I think I haven't practiced enough and can't reach the level of Dr. Jiang, who is so free and easy. Shang Ruoi sneered. You don't like gold and silver. You are willing to treat everyone for free. I will definitely help you publicize your behavior so that people all over the world will admire you. But by then, I estimate that many people will come to you for treatment. I hope Dr. Jiang doesn't feel annoyed. Shang Ruoi's words shocked Dr. Jiang. He never expected that this seemingly young boy in front of him would have such eloquence. If he did as she said, he would be exhausted to death. Dr. Jiang's face flushed, and his hands began to tremble slightly. Shang Ruoi rolled her eyes at him. You are allowed to meddle in other people's business and to gossip. You are the only one who can respond. You are a person of high moral character. Now I will let you have a good taste of what I am going to do. That's enough. Stop arguing. He Lingxing's face was very gloomy. The emperor is still ill. How can two great doctors keep arguing here? Propriety? Shang Ruoi sneered and cupped her hands. I know that my medical skills are not good enough, and I am not worthy of being reused, so I request to leave the palace. Your Highness, the Crown Prince, please seek other medical treatment for the Emperor's illness. However, I will cure the Empress, as the Crown Prince said in the notice to the world. I hope your Highness will fulfill your promise and pass on your medical skills to me. Hearing her say this, He Lingxing was furious. Master Lingjun, do you think that without you your father will not be able to be cured? I didn't say that. Dr. Jiang is a skilled doctor and can definitely cure the Emperor. The Crown Prince and Dr. Jiang both looked very ugly. They wanted to give her a warning so that she would curb her arrogance, but they didn't expect that she would ask to leave directly. He Lingxing had been in the palace for so long, and he had never seen anyone who was truly indifferent to the splendor of the palace. Since Master Lingjun said so, I will not force you. Since you came with my fourth brother, just follow him and leave. I will send someone to deliver the book to his residence. Shang Ruoi smiled. Thank you, Your Highness. She looked at He Lingqi, who understood what she meant, and bowed to the prince. I will take you away first. The two came to Prince Bao's residence, and Shang Ruoi took out a porcelain bottle and handed it to him. Your Highness, please send someone to give this porcelain bottle and the letter to the queen. She left the palace in such a hurry that the queen didn't know. At this moment, a familiar voice came from behind. I'll go. He Jingheng walked in, and Shang Ruoi raised her eyebrows slightly. He went to deliver it in person? There were many questions in her mind, but because of He Lingqi's presence, she didn't ask them in the end. Jingheng, the palace has been robbed, and my father has ordered martial law. It will be inconvenient for you to enter and leave the palace. I'll let the servants take you there. He Lingqi whispered. Besides, the Fengyi Palace where the queen is located belongs to the harem. It's too conspicuous for a man like you to enter and leave the harem. If you are mistaken for a thief, you will be in big trouble. He looked at He Jingheng's legs. There shouldn't be many people who know that your legs have recovered. You must not expose it, otherwise there will be a disaster in the Dinghua Palace. Nothing. A meaningless smile appeared on He Jingheng's face. There's nothing to be afraid of those good-for-nothings in the palace. When He Lingqi heard him say that, an inexplicable meaning flashed in her eyes. Shang Ruoi thought for a while and took out another porcelain bottle. The queen is weak. Eating this will be good for her. He Jingheng raised his eyebrows slightly. She had only been with the queen for 2 short days, but he was so concerned about her. 100 taels of gold. Upon hearing this, He Jingheng showed a helpless smile in his eyes. He Lingqi looked at the interaction between the two and couldn't help feeling a chill. Yinren told him that He Jingheng seemed to treat this Lingjun genius doctor very differently. He didn't believe it at first, but now it seems that he is indeed a little too intimate. He and He Jingheng have known each other for more than 10 years, and he has never seen him treat anyone like this. Could it be that he has other habits that he doesn't know about? His eyes moved between the two of them, and he couldn't help swallowing. Hiss. With this guess, He Lingqi took a step back. He Jingheng is willing to help him now. Could it be that he also? Thinking of this, he hurriedly said, Jingheng, while it is still dark, you go quickly. After saying that, he left like a fly. Oh, his brain is not used in the right place, thinking about useless things all day long. Shang Ruai smiled without saying anything, but her heart was not as relaxed as her face looked. After He Jingheng left, Shang Ruai sat by the window, feeling a little upset. The current situation seems to be a little bit off the expected development of things. When she was exiled, she was thinking about staying in the place of exile, and everything was settled, and then she would divorce He Jingheng. However, now not only did she fail to divorce, but she also became the head of the He family and had to save people for He Jingheng. The most important thing is that she is a little confused now. This He Jingheng seems to be a little different from others to her. In 2 lives, she has never been exposed to love, and she has no idea what love is like. In her last life, she only felt that love was a burden. It was impossible for someone like her to spend the rest of her life with anyone. How could someone who didn't even know where she would be buried in the end be qualified to talk about love? In this life, she originally just wanted to live in peace, but she didn't expect to be involved in this treacherous court. Now, it is really not what she wants. She looked at the mountains of gold and silver treasures in the space. With so much money, let alone Tianshan, she could go anywhere. The world is so big, isn't it okay for her to walk? At this moment, a baby's cry suddenly came from her mind. Shang Ruai was shocked. The child woke up. She quickly flashed into the space. I saw a baby crying loudly. Xiao Bai was very anxious in the space. Shang Ruai walked forward and picked up the child gently. Is this little thing hungry? This stumped her. In this situation, where can she find milk? If she was in Xia village, at least there would be milk to drink. Now she had no choice but to collect some spiritual spring water and drip it into the baby's mouth. Since she was rescued from the Biling people, she has been placed in the space. She didn't understand why the baby didn't wake up after entering the space. Shang Ruai had checked her many times, and the baby was fine. Waking up at this moment made her flustered for a while. The baby miraculously stopped crying after drinking the spiritual spring water. Soon, she fell asleep contentedly in Shang Ruai's arms. She put her down gently, looking at her blushing little face. Her heart softened into a puddle of water. Shang Ruai was taking care of the child in the space, and at this time, He Jingheng had already arrived at Fengyi Palace. The queen sat on the main seat, looking at He Jingheng helplessly. Look at the way you sit. You can't say that you left from the Dingwa Palace. And I haven't seen you for a few months. Why are you still nagging? He Jingheng raised his eyelids slightly. What is the reason why you must let me come back this time? What else could it be? The queen glanced at him. I sent so many letters to you, but I didn't receive a reply. Now in the capital, I don't even have a relative. I just want to know how you are doing. He Jingheng said lightly. Your letter, nephew has received it. No one in the palace responded before, and I was afraid that the letter would fall into the hands of others. He cupped his hands. It is my nephew who is not thoughtful. I hope Aunt will forgive me. I miss you very much. The queen whispered. Although your grandmother and I are cousins after many generations of ancestry, she is my only relative. I came to tea. He Jingheng said lightly. Your letter, nephew has received it. No one in the palace responded before, and I was afraid that the letter would fall into the hands of others. He cupped his hands. It is my nephew who is not thought. Your nephew will always remember it. He Jingheng's tone was slightly sinking, but now, the Dingwa Palace can no longer protect you in this palace as before. You must be careful in what you do, and you must never use the witchcraft again. Now, the appearance of the witchcraft that only exists in southern Xinjiang in this palace has caused a sensation, and the emperor has ordered a thorough investigation. Fortunately, everyone's attention is now focused on the fact that the emperor is seriously ill. Otherwise, if the relationship between the queen and southern Xinjiang is discovered, the general and his family who adopted her as a daughter will suffer a devastating disaster. When the queen was still in southern Xinjiang, she fled to Tianshan because she was unwilling to marry the barbarians. After several twists and turns, she established a relationship with the old princess's ancestors. At first, the old princess was unwilling to take care of these trivial matters, but when someone attacked the Dingwa Palace at night, She stepped forward to save the old princess. In gratitude for her kindness, the old princess kept her in the palace. One day, the old lady of the general's mansion came to visit. When she saw her for the first time, she said that she was very similar to her daughter who had just passed away 2 years ago, as if she was carved out of a mold, and she must recognize her as her adopted daughter. She went to the general's mansion from time to time to accompany the old lady to relieve her boredom. Who would have thought that when she and the old lady were walking in the garden, they would meet the emperor, who came to visit the mansion. The emperor was on a tour incognito that day, and no one in the back house of the general's mansion knew about it. The emperor fell in love with her at first sight and was bound to welcome her back to the palace. In desperation, she had to agree. After a few years, the old lady died, and everyone in the general's mansion died on the battlefield. No one except the Dinghua Palace knew that Tianshuan's queen was actually a woman from southern Xinjiang. If people knew the whole story, the Dinghua Palace's disloyalty would be known to everyone. I know. A smile appeared on her face. You, the crown prince's consort, are quite interesting. He Jingheng was stunned at first, then smiled. I didn't expect you to see through it. The queen took out a hairpin and threw it to him. This is the only thing I brought with me when I escaped from southern Xinjiang. It was given to me by my mother. For so many years, I have treasured it like a treasure. Now that you, the crown prince's consort, are deeply loved by me, I will give this hairpin to her. He Jingheng looked at the hairpin. Then nephew will thank her aunt on her behalf. Leaving Fengyi Palace, He Jingheng saw Wen Gang and Zhang Wei, the two commanders of the Imperial Guards, patrolling the palace with a team of people each. He curled his lips slightly and flashed into a palace. At this time, the lights in the Yangxin Palace were dim. In order to show his filial piety, He Lingsheng, in addition to handling state affairs, served the sick in the Yangxin Palace. At this moment, a weak voice came from the dragon bed. Water, water. The moment the voice of Emperor Tianshun appeared, everyone rushed over. Concubine Shu used a spoon to feed him 2 spoonfuls of water. Soon, Emperor Tianshun gradually regained consciousness. Father, how do you feel? Concubine Shu wiped his lips with a handkerchief a few times. Hearing the prince's question, Emperor Tianshun nodded slightly, his voice slightly hoarse. Where's the miracle doctor? Father, Miracle Dr. Jiang is waiting outside the palace. Emperor Tianshun shook his head. I'm talking about Miracle Dr. Lingjun. The prince's expression froze. How did his father know that Miracle Dr. Lingjun saved him? Could it be that although his father was unconscious, his consciousness was always clear? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat on his back. He kept reviewing whether his words in the past few days were out of line. Concubine Shu said softly, Mission Dr. Lingjun has left the palace. Now that the emperor has woken up, let's call Miracle Dr. Jiang to take your pulse. Hearing this, the emperor looked at the prince and whispered, Mission Dr. Lingjun's medical skills are better than Miracle Dr. Jiang's, but you drove her away?
Rebellion.
My body still needs her to regulate, and now you drive her away. Have you ever thought about me? Hearing this, the prince hurriedly knelt on the ground. Father, please calm down. Lingjun behaved rudely and looked down on everyone. She didn't take the dignity of the royal family seriously at all. That's why I drove her away. If she hadn't been credited with curing the queen, he would have thrown her into prison for disrespect. How could he have stayed here until now? Concubine Shu calmed him down, Your Majesty. The prince is young and hot-tempered. This treatment is also for the sake of the dignity of the royal family. Don't get yourself hurt by the anger. Please ask Dr. Jiang to come in quickly. After hearing what she said, Emperor Tianshun nodded slowly. I will spare you today. If you are so reckless again in the future, I think your position as the prince will be over. He Lingsheng didn't expect his father to say such a thing. Since he became the prince, the emperor has never said such harsh words. Now he even wants to abolish the prince. Could it be because of the 4th son? His eyes fell on Concubine Shu. Seeing that there was no joy on her face, and her eyes were full of worry, his heart sank. It seems that what the mother said is right. The restoration of the concubine's favor is of no benefit to them. Since the concubine's favor was restored and the fourth son was conferred a title, the hearts of many ministers in the court began to waver. Although he is the crown prince, he is not a legitimate son after all. Whether to abolish or not is just a matter of a word from his father. Now that he wants to rest easy, he must use some means. The fierce look in his eyes disappeared in an instant, and he lowered his head and said, "Father, I know my mistake." Emperor Tianshun glanced at him. "Choose a day after the new year to carry the concubine into the palace. After a while, choose a main wife and a concubine. It's time for someone to take good care of your temper. Your son obeys your order. Get up." "Thank you, father." He Lingsheng did not show any dissatisfaction on his face for Emperor Tianshuan's rebuke. Seeing this, Emperor Tianshuan's anger gradually subsided. Dr. Jiang and several imperial doctors heard that the emperor had woken up and hurried in. The emperor has just recovered from his illness, but he is a little weak and needs to rest. Dr. Jiang said, "Thanks to the emperor's strong body, he can recover so quickly." He never mentioned the fact that Shang Ruai treated the emperor. He didn't know that the emperor regained consciousness after Shang Ruai gave him acupuncture, but he was too weak to open his eyes. He heard their conversation clearly. Now, Dr. Jiang never mentioned it, and he wanted to take all the credit. The imperial physician standing behind him smiled and said, "You are worthy of being the divine Dr. Lingjun. You only used a silver needle to beat all of us. You are really a genius." Dr. Jiang's heart sank slightly, and he cursed those ignorant imperial physicians in his heart. "Pass on my decree. Divine Dr. Lingjun has made great contributions to saving the emperor. He will be rewarded with 10,000 taels of silver and a mansion in the capital." Hiss. This reward is really extremely valuable. Hearing this, Dr. Jiang hid the jealous look in his eyes.
"I'm tired.
Please kneel down and greet me. We will take our leave." He Lingsheng looked at concubine Shu, who was still guarding the bedside of Emperor Tianshun. "My lady concubine Shu, you have worked hard these days. Shall I send a palace maid to take you back?" "No need. I will accompany the emperor tonight. It will be dawn in a few hours, and then I will return to the palace." "Yes, I will take my leave." After he Lingsheng left, Emperor Tianshun slowly opened his eyes, and he patted concubine Shu's hand. "Thank you for your hard work.
This is what I should do."
"How can it be hard?" Concubine Shu had some fear in her eyes. "You really scared me when you fainted this time. I am still scared now." She tucked her back corners. Her face was pale. Seeing this, Emperor Tianshun said with pity, "In this huge palace, you are the only one who treats me sincerely." "What are you talking about, Your Majesty?" Concubine Shu said softly. "There are so many sisters in the harem. Which one of them doesn't treat the emperor sincerely? I know it in my heart." Seeing her sitting on the bed, Emperor Tianshun smiled. "Why are you sitting here? Come and sleep beside me for a while." The bed in the Yangxin Palace is not for concubines to sleep on. In the past, even if someone's name was turned over, it would only be carried to the side hall of the Yangxin Palace. "I dare not overstep the rules. Just sleep on the soft couch next to it for a while." Concubine Shu smiled. "Your Majesty, please sleep peacefully. I will accompany you." Upon hearing this, the emperor did not insist, smiled, and fell asleep. Not long after, the sound of even breathing came. Concubine Shu tucked his back corner again, and then went to the couch. She turned around, her eyes full of coldness, and all the tenderness and affection just now disappeared. Not only that, the hands under the quilt kept rubbing, as if they had touched something dirty. Emperor Tianshun, who was originally asleep, slowly opened his eyes and looked at concubine Shu curled up on the soft couch, and the corners of his lips curved. No one noticed that a figure slowly disappeared in the Yangxin Palace. The next morning, concubine Shu was promoted to imperial concubine. Upon hearing the news, imperial concubine Zhao smashed all the decorations that had just been replaced in Lanqing Palace. Imperial concubine. On what basis did she become an imperial concubine? She became an imperial concubine just by attending to the emperor? Then what am I? She said angrily. A few days ago, The emperor said that I was his most beloved imperial concubine, but in the blink of an eye, he promoted the position of a lowly concubine Shu. Bishi said on the side, "Your Majesty, calm down. You still have to take care of the prince in your belly." Prince. Imperial concubine Zhao sneered. Now that the emperor has no shortage of sons, what does it matter whether I give birth to a boy or a girl? Your Majesty, you have a prince. What is there to worry about? Yes, the prince. I still have a prince. At this time, she didn't know that He Lingsheng had just been scolded by the emperor last night. Bishi looked at concubine Zhao, feeling a little uneasy. Before this, the queen's mood was very stable. Even if she encountered something, she would never be like this. Since she got pregnant, the queen's temperament has become a little crazy. Shang Ruai, who had been in Prince Bao's mansion, nodded when she heard the news. As expected of a king, he is really good at using power and tactics. He can check and balance the prince and Prince Bao without a single soldier. The emperor's family is the most ruthless. Even his own son and the person next to him can't be trusted. Is this emperor pitiful or pathetic? He Jingheng looked at her with admiration in his eyes. I didn't expect you to know so much. Is it difficult? Shang Ruai smiled. Seeing that the prince is becoming more and more powerful, if there is no one who can check and balance him, I am afraid that the next step will be to replace him. In fact, when he sent Prince Bao to provide disaster relief, it was a test. He Jingheng nodded, not bad. But now she has been promoted to the position of Shufei, which he did not expect. Not long after, He Lingqi came in with a book. Master Lingjun, this is sent by my brother. Thank you, Your Highness. She looked at the cover of the book, smiled, and instantly lost interest in reading. No wonder He Jingheng would rather support the fourth prince who has no power than the prince. It was clearly said that the medical skills left by the medical saint would be used as a reward, but now he used a fake book to fool her. Did he really think she couldn't tell the difference between the real and the fake? This paper is clearly new this year. He Jingheng understood the key after seeing her actions. He sneered. He Lingsheng has always been like this. It's not that easy to take things from him. How difficult could it be? He had found the emperor's private vault, and it was just the prince's mansion. Yuntian sent a message, we should go back. He Jingheng's voice sank slightly. It seems that something is not going well. Shang Ruai felt a little sorry when she heard that. She originally wanted to take a stroll in the prince's mansion. He Jingheng handed the hairpin in his hand to her. This is a reward from the queen. Shang Ruai pouted. The queen seems a little stingy. I worked hard to cure her poison, and she gave me this golden hairpin to send me away. He Jingheng smiled, looked at the unsatisfied little woman in front of him, and explained, this hairpin is of great significance to the queen, and she told me to give it to you. Shang Ruai suddenly looked up and saw the teasing in He Jingheng's eyes. Suddenly, she realized that she was seen through by the queen. No wonder she said something like a concubine's daughter. Unexpectedly, this queen was still a little cute. She looked at He Jingheng and wanted to ask what the relationship between the queen and the Dingwa palace or the old lady was, but she didn't ask it when the words came to her lips. She still didn't come up with an answer to the question yesterday. Looking at the man in front of her, if she said that she didn't have the slightest heartbeat, she would be deceiving herself. But choosing him means living in the calculations around her for the rest of her life. She didn't want to live such a hard life again. Looking at his constantly changing expression, He Jingheng thought she was uncomfortable. What's wrong? Nothing. Shang Ruai took the hairpin from his hand and was stunned. The weight of the hairpin seemed to be wrong. She wanted to study it, and then she heard Yunqi's voice. Master, the horses are ready. Shang Ruai had to put the things away. At this time, in the prince's mansion, He Lingsheng sat in the main seat, listening to the reports from his subordinates. Did you see it clearly? Did he really leave alone? To reply, Your Highness, he left by himself, and the subordinates followed him all the way out of the capital before returning. He Lingsheng frowned slightly, always feeling that something was missing. At this time, a palace servant stood at the door with a food box. Your Highness, the imperial concubine has brought you some snacks. The moment he saw the food box, he suddenly realized, where is the medicine box? Did the person you followed take the medicine box? The guard heard this, recalled for a moment, and shook his head. That person did not take the medicine box. Sure enough.
Waste.
You didn't even know you followed the wrong person. He Lingxing said angrily. Are you all pig brains? She is a doctor. How could she not take the medicine box? Maybe she didn't leave at all. This Lingjun genius doctor is definitely not as simple as it seems on the surface. Having such a helper to help his fourth brother is a great threat to him. He will not be able to sleep or eat until this person is eliminated. Check for me if you find any trace. You can report it.
Yes.
No one or anything can become a stumbling block for him to the throne. At this time, Shang Ruai was already on the way back to the place of exile. In the past few days, the baby in the space has been waking up for longer and longer. Shang Ruai has been running around all day, so how can she take care of her? Fortunately, Xiao Bai and other tigers accompany her, and she doesn't make trouble. At night, she came to an inn. Finally, she can stop and rest. She was really exhausted from running around all day. Just when she wanted to sleep, she heard the cry of a baby in the space.
She was hungry again.
She resigned herself to her fate and came to the space to feed her the spiritual spring water. The child in her arms blinked her big eyes and looked at her, and Shang Ruai's heart softened. This child has been raised in the space, which is not good after all. It must be exposed to the outside world. The next morning, just as they were about to leave, they heard a baby crying outside the inn. The waiter opened the door and found a child at the door. Hey, who the Hades abandoned the child here? He hurriedly took the child into the inn and coaxed him for a long time, but the child still cried non-stop. Her crying soon alarmed the people in the inn. The people who stayed here were all busy people. They were woken up so early in the morning and couldn't help cursing. Whose child is this? Why are you crying so early in the morning? Can you let me sleep? Several women came forward to coax the child, but it didn't work, and the crying became louder. When He Jingheng and Shang Ruai came down, they saw the scene. He Jingheng was not a patient person. Such a noise made him frown, but he was not as annoyed as others. Dear guests, I am really sorry to disturb your rest so early in the morning. Actually, the waiter saw an abandoned child outside the door. In this winter, if we don't bring her in, she will freeze to death. The shopkeeper said apologetically, Please forgive me. What do you mean by forgiveness? I am dying of sleep. In my opinion, just throw her away. The shopkeeper couldn't help but feel anxious after hearing this. After thinking for a while, he said, If there is a guest who can stop her crying, I will waive his room fee. At this time, Shang Ruai walked towards the baby. At this time, she was wearing a human skin mask on her face, and the silver mask had been taken off. The appearance on the human skin mask was very ordinary, and you couldn't find it even if you fell into the crowd. TSK, it was useless for us to try to coax the baby just now. She is plain looking. How could she really stop the baby from crying? It can't be said that it is because it is too ugly. The child is so scared that he dares not make a sound. He Jingheng frowned tightly when he heard the discussion of several women not far away. Yunqi looked bitter. What was the crown prince's consort going to do? Could she coax the baby? As soon as Shang Ruai stepped forward, they heard the baby's crying suddenly stop. Everyone was surprised to see this. The next moment, a small hand suddenly stretched out from the swaddling clothes and directly grasped Shang Ruai's index finger. The baby's little hands had been in the swaddling clothes, and they were still warm. Feeling the temperature of her body, Shang Ruai finally felt relieved. Although the child was discovered by her son when she was placed at the door, she was still afraid that she would catch a cold. He Jingheng looked at the baby in her arms, quite surprised. Yunqi whispered, Master, this child. You are not going to take her back to the place of exile. At this moment, the shopkeeper walked up to Shang Ruai and said with a smile, Girl, this child seems to be destined for you. Why don't you take her home? After all, it's a life, and I don't have a partner, so I really can't take care of her. Please be kind and take her away. Shang Ruai didn't say anything, turned to look at He Jingheng, and seeing that he didn't refuse, she walked towards him with the child. If I want to adopt her, Okay. Before she could finish her words, He Jingheng smiled and said, "Since you like her, you can keep her." Shang Ruai was slightly stunned for a moment. Why is he so easy to talk to? The Dingwa Palace is so big that it can afford to raise not only one child, but even 100 or 1,000. But he rarely saw such an expression on Shang Ruai's face. Joy from the heart. On the way back, Yunqi found a carriage. There was a thick layer of cushions inside, which was warm and comfortable. When he got on the car, the baby was already asleep. He Jingheng sat opposite Shang Ruai, looking at her face, which was always indifferent, with a look of love and pity that he had never seen before, and his heart moved slightly. If he loves the child he picked up so much, what if it is his own flesh and blood? If it is their child, it must be more beautiful and lovely than this baby in the cradle. Feeling his gaze, Shang Ruai coughed lightly. What's wrong? Nothing. He Jingheng looked away, not knowing what he was thinking of. His face looked a little unnatural. If they used a fast horse, they could arrive in 10 days, but now they were using a carriage, so the speed naturally dropped. New Year's Day is next month. If we walk slowly, we might miss it. Shang Ruai patted the child in her arms, and at this moment, a gray bird landed on the car window. This is the bird used by Qinglong village to deliver messages. This bird is extremely sensitive to smells. The birds in Qinglong village have been raised since childhood and can track smells. Previously, Qinglong village sent over a purse, and the smell of the purse would attract the birds in Qinglong village. Shang Ruai took the note off the bird's leg without any hesitation in front of He Jingheng. When she saw the content above, she couldn't help but frown. What happened? Shang Ruai said in a deep voice. We seem to have to go back quickly. It seems that a group of Bailing people are wandering around the village. Bailing people? He Jingheng whispered. They must have been sent by the Emperor of Bailing. They killed the general and deputy general of Bailing and sent the bodies of those people on the emperor's birthday. The Emperor of Bailing must have found out their identities. Now they are around Xia village and they must have some plan. They were right. The general of Bailing received the instruction of the Emperor of Bailing and must wipe out the entire Dingwa Palace. They explored the surroundings several times and found that there were many secret guards ambushed around the He Mansion, and there were many snow bandits on the nearby hills. General, why don't we send a few skilled brothers to explore the He family tonight? General Bailing glared at him. Explore the way? Is your brain on your? He Jingheng is still in the mansion, and there are so many secret guards around. Wouldn't it be a surprise if we go there? He kicked the deputy general. We are no match for He Jingheng at all. We can only wait for He Jingheng to leave the mansion and take the opportunity to slaughter the remaining He family members. When he comes back, he will only see their corpses. Then we will find a chance to bring him back to Bailing and hand him over to His Majesty for disposal. The deputy general nodded when he heard this. General, you are wise. General Bailing waved his hand. Send someone to keep an eye on it, or we will be discovered by He Jingheng's people before we fight. Yes, General. He Jingheng looked at the letter in his hand and said in a deep voice, It seems that we haven't taught Bailing enough lessons. Is there any deep hatred between you and Bailing? The Prince of Bailing died in my hands.
Hiss.
Shang Ruai blinked, so that's it. If she were the Emperor of Bailing, she would definitely try every means to take revenge. The Prince of Bailing thought he was extremely talented and invincible. He had to lead the troops in person when the two armies fought. There was no eye on the sword on the battlefield. I didn't want to kill him, but he was too useless. I killed him in just a few dozen rounds. He Jingheng was quite helpless when he mentioned this matter. Since then, Bailing has forged an indissoluble feud with the Dingwa Palace and even the entire Tianshan. There have been many assassinations overtly and covertly over the years. Last time, He Yuan was kidnapped and almost killed in the chaos, and He Jingheng was almost crippled. Now it seems that he wants to take the opportunity to uproot the Dingwa Palace. It seems that we have to speed up our pace. At this time, in Qinglong village, Lin Mu listened to the report of his men and frowned. The people of Bailing are definitely going after the He family. A light flashed in Yan Ye's eyes. Brother, How about we try the mantis stalking the cicada this time? The mantis stalking the cicada? That is, we wait for Biling to slaughter all the He family members, and then we capture the Biling soldiers, rob them, and take all the money of the He family. What do you think? Yan Yi thought his approach was very smart and waited for Lin Mu to praise him. Is this called the mantis stalking the cicada? Lin Mu picked up the wine glass on the table and threw it on his head. This is called the oriole behind. Yes, yes, the oriole behind. Yan Yi rubbed his head and asked for credit. Brother, what do you think of my proposal? Isn't it great? Good, good, good. Listening to Lin Mu's words, the smile on Yan Ye's face had not yet expanded, and his shoe sole flew over and hit him right in the mouth. What? Lin Mu said angrily. We are bandits, not fools. Even if we are bandits, we are Tianshan bandits. How can we watch the people of Tianshan being slaughtered by those Biling people? Use your brain before you speak. Don't just think about eating all day long. Hearing this, Yan Yi smacked his lips and said dryly, Brother, then will our Qinglong village only be servants of the He family in the future? Hearing the word servant, Lin Mu's pupil shrank slightly, and the other's shoe flew out. Shut up. Next time you say such depressing words, what flies over is not a shoe. Why don't you get out and let the brothers watch it down the mountain? Yes, yes, I'll go now. Yan Yi ran out in a hurry. Shang Ruai and others changed to fast horses again. The baby was held in Shang Ruai's arms and covered with a cloak. It seemed that she had a child in her arms, but in fact, she had already taken it into the space. They hurried all the way, but it still took them 2 days to get there. On this day, General Biling was drinking in his tent when a soldier ran in. General, the He family seems to be different from what we expected. What's wrong? General Biling put down his bowl suddenly. Did He Jingheng find out about our whereabouts? As soon as he finished speaking, his hand fell on the big knife on the table, and he was actually ready to retreat.
No.
The soldier said hurriedly. It seems that He Jingheng is not in the mansion. I heard the conversation between He Jingheng and the guards around him. It was not He Jingheng's voice at all. It should be a disguised voice wearing a human skin mask. General Biling heard this and stood up with a knife in his hand. Are you serious? Absolutely true. I saw it with my own eyes. Okay. He couldn't help laughing wildly. This is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, come on. He waved his hand. Take your weapons and follow me to take down the He family. At this time, everyone in the He family was having dinner. The old princess supported her head and frowned. Seeing this, Qin asked hurriedly, Mom, are you feeling uncomfortable? The old princess nodded. I don't know why, I always feel weak. Maybe it's because I didn't rest well yesterday. He Yuni's eyelids were also twitching, and she always felt that something was happening. At this moment, a guard ran in a panic. Madam, something bad has happened. There are assassins. As soon as the voice fell, there was a sound of fighting outside the gate. The old lady's heart sank. He Jingheng and his wife were not at home. Now she could only put her hope on the guards guarding the mansion. Yuntian brought dozens of secret guards to protect the entire mansion behind him. Who are you? Tell me your name. Yuntian said in a deep voice. You dare to come here. I think you are tired of living. Haha, is that so? General Biling laughed. Today I want to see who is tired of living. Hearing this very familiar accent, Yuntian's pupils shrank slightly. Are you from Biling? Ha, you actually heard it. General Biling sneered. Since you already know, I might as well let you die more clearly. He shook the big knife in his hand, and a bloodthirsty smile appeared at the corner of his lips. I will use your blood to commemorate the Biling soldiers who were massacred by your Dingwa palace. He waved his hand, and hundreds of soldiers behind him stepped forward. Yuntian looked around obscurely and couldn't help wondering. Biling surrounded the He family with such a large battle. Why didn't the officials come yet? Ha. Are you still counting on reinforcements? General Biling said, Don't dream. No one will come to save you. He looked at the secret guards behind him. You and your brothers will be buried with the He family. He waved his hand, and the soldiers swung their swords and slashed at Yuntian and others. The battle was about to break out. Yun Tian was the best among the secret guards, and he fought with General Biling, and they were evenly matched. After dozens of rounds, General Biling found an opportunity and slashed him in front with a knife. The wound was very deep and blood was pouring out. He could no longer hold the sword in his hand, and his body staggered a few steps and almost fell. Ha 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 ha, the secret guards of Dinghua Palace are just so-so. Under this general's hands, they can't even get through a few dozen moves. General Biling held a knife and walked forward slowly, looking at Yun Tian with a playful look in his eyes. Are you still waiting for reinforcements? Don't dream. No one will come to save you. I believe that Emperor Tianshun also hopes that this Dinghua Palace will completely disappear between heaven and earth. When those officials saw that you were surrounded, they had already hidden far away, waiting for us to leave and collect your bodies. Due to their large number of people, the secret guards of Dinghua Palace gradually showed a decline. General Biling looked around and laughed. Today, I will use you as a starter, and when your disabled master comes back, I will personally kill him. After speaking, he raised the big knife in his hand high. If he chopped it down, Yun Tian's body would be in different places. Yun Tian touched the grenade on his waist. It was left by the crown princess for him in case of emergency. As long as he pulled the ring, he could die with General Biling. Yun Tian spat out a mouthful of blood. It was worth it to exchange his life for a general of Biling. At this moment, an arrow came from behind him. Hearing the sound of breaking through the air, General Biling quickly dodged to the side. The arrow landed exactly where he had just stood.
Who?
How dare you sneak attack from behind? He shouted angrily. Come out if you dare. I will kill you. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw movement in the woods to the east. Looking carefully, he saw a group of people in white robes standing at the edge of the woods.
You.
Before he finished speaking, he saw more and more people in white robes coming out. Snow bandits? How did they appear here? Brothers, listen up. Lin Mu said loudly. We will protect the people of He Mansion until our death. We cannot let any thieves enter the gate of the mansion. Yes. The uniform voice shocked everyone present. How could these snow bandits stand on the side of He Mansion? According to the information they received, in recent years, the snow bandits here have been suppressed by the Tianshun court, and they are mortal enemies with the Dinghua Palace. The people of Qinglong village surrounded He Mansion and looked at the Biling soldiers with vigilance. At this time, their numbers were almost the same. Lin Mu helped Yun Tian up. This big brother, are you okay? He didn't know Yun Tian's name, so he asked in the tone of their Qinglong village. If it were in the past, Yun Tian would definitely not bother to pay attention. In his opinion, the snow bandits were just a group of rabble, bandits. What good things were there? I didn't expect them to be so loyal. It's okay, thank you. Lin Mu smiled and said, Brother, you don't have to be polite. We are a family, we are all a family. Seeing them like this, General Biling couldn't help but get angry. Came here to make friends? And brother, look at your flattering face. Why don't you call him Dad? I was wondering why the Dinghua Palace was confiscated and exiled. They were mixed up with these bandits. What kind of loyalty?
Bah.
General Biling sneered. Where is He Jingheng? Let that come out. I will teach him what loyalty to the emperor and the country means. He Yuni heard the movement outside the door clearly in the dining room. He Jingshi stepped forward, holding a sword in his hand, and said angrily, These grandsons of Biling dared to insult my He family. I will kill them. After the words fell, he rushed out with a sword without waiting for everyone to stop him. Jingshi, come back. Lin wanted to chase him, but how could she catch up with He Jingshi's pace? When she chased him out, He Jingshi had already arrived at the gate with his sword in hand. He Jingshi came to the door with a sword in his hand. How dare you, a villain, insult my family?
Haha.
General Biling narrowed his eyes and sneered. Why? Isn't He Jingheng very powerful? Why did he send a waste like you? Why should my brother take action to deal with you? As soon as He Jingshi finished speaking, a secret guard came to him. Young master, it's dangerous here. You should go back quickly. He Jingshi didn't know where he got the strength from, and pushed the secret guard in front of him away. Brother can protect the He family, so can I. He whispered, "Although the He family has been demoted and exiled, it will never allow others to bully. You are not my Tianshan soldiers, but you have crossed the border and invaded my territory without permission. Now you are still clamoring in front of the mansion, and you don't know how high the sky is and how thick the earth is." Hearing this, General Biling sneered. "This general is too lazy to listen to your nonsense." He waved his hand, and dozens of arrows shot out suddenly. The secret guards and the members of the Qinglong gang quickly swung their swords to sweep away the arrows in front of them, but the Qinglong gang was just a gangster after all. They had a large number of people but poor martial arts skills, and many of them were injured by arrows. Lin Mu's face turned pale. He didn't expect that they actually brought so many bows and arrows. After several rounds of arrow rain, many members of the Qinglong gang were killed and wounded. General Biling sneered, "It's just a group of rabble. If you surrender now, I will consider leaving you with a whole body." Yuntian took out a pill and swallowed it. The color on his face recovered a little. He held the sword and said to the secret guards behind him, "Take the third young master back and lock the door. Even if you die in battle today, you can't let anyone in." The Biling people were cruel by nature. If the women of the He family fell into their hands, I'm afraid they would have a hard time dying. Yes. As expected of He Jingheng, he is a tough guy. General Biling's eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. Now, they didn't know where He Jingheng was. Although he was sitting in a wheelchair, the reputation of the Prince of Dingwang was terrifying. In this case, this general will fulfill your determination to be brave and martyred. He waved his sword. "All soldiers, listen to my order. Whoever can first attack the He family, this general will reward him with the young lady of the He mansion." The eyes of the Biling soldiers lit up when they heard this. You know, there are many men in Biling but very few women. Moreover, the people of Biling are tough, and the women's personalities are as rough as men. How can they compare to the gentle women of Tianshan? Most of the men in the army have not married. Hearing such a reward, they are more excited than getting gold and silver. Yuntian's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and the long sword in his hand turned out a sword flower and stabbed directly at General Biling. He was already seriously injured. How could he be a match for General Biling? After a few rounds, he was slapped the chest. Blood gushed out of his mouth, and he flew backwards and fell heavily to the ground. Unable to withstand a single. He sneered, swung his broadsword and flew forward, ready to chop off Yuntian's head. At this moment, Lin Mu swung his long sword and collided with his sword. A mere ant dares to block the way of this general. He swung hard, and Lin Mu's figure was bounced out. He drove straight in with his sword, came to the front of the gate, pushed hard, and the gate did not move. He snorted coldly, flew over the high wall, and as soon as his body fell, the dark guards guarding the courtyard surrounded him. Several people fought in one place, and it was difficult to tell who was better for a while. It must be said that the General Biling who was sent this time was extremely skilled in martial arts. Among the He family, I am afraid that only He Jingheng's internal strength was better than his, which was why he was afraid of He Jingheng. The sound of fighting spread to the backyard, and the He family was terrified. "But they broke in?" the old princess whispered. "It should be." Yue drew out the long sword in her hand, her eyes heavy. At this moment, there was a sudden violent tremor outside the courtyard, and flames shot up into the sky. More than a dozen Biling soldiers were killed. Yuntian woke up from his coma and saw that those Biling people were still trying to draw their bows and shoot arrows, so he pulled the fuse and threw it at the group of archers. However, he was seriously injured and his aim was not good enough, so only a dozen people were killed. But such a big noise was enough to shock the Biling people. General Biling, who had already entered the He family courtyard, wanted to fly away, but the several secret guards in front of him were really difficult to deal with, and he couldn't get away for a while. At this moment, there was another loud noise outside the door, and the screams of the Biling soldiers came into his ears. He was extremely anxious and accidentally scratched his arm by one of the secret guards. The pain on his arm made him extremely angry. After swinging a knife, he flew over the high wall. When he saw the scene in front of him, His breath stagnated. Many limbs and arms were scattered on the large, scorched land. Could it be that this was caused by the thing that made the loud noise just now? His eyes were full of vigilance. Yuntian had used up all the grenades on his body, but he was full of momentum. General Bailing did not dare to move forward for a while. However, the Emperor of Bailing gave them a death order, and they must bring the heads of everyone in Dingwa Palace back to Bailing. If they failed to complete the task, he would have to bring his head to see him. Thinking of this, he whistled to the sky, and soon a group of vultures came from far and near, hovering over their heads. These vultures are extremely ferocious birds unique to Bailing. Most of them are raised in the army. The beak of the vulture is as sharp as a knife. Although it is large in size, it is extremely agile and flexible. Its claws are sharp, and it will leave a deep scar on the body. If it is not facing a very difficult opponent, Bailing will not release the vulture. After all, it is extremely rare to tame a vulture. Others may not know how powerful these vultures are, but Yuntian knows it very well. A few years ago, they were tricked by Bailing using the vulture formation. Yuntian felt very depressed. These vultures could not be hurt by hidden weapons. The birds raised by this general are hungry. Today, I will use your meat to feed them. He blew the whistle again, and the vultures that were originally circling in the sky suddenly became irritable. The next moment, the vultures swooped down fiercely. In just a few breaths, before everyone could react, the vultures had already come close. The sharp claws and sharp beaks always caused a fatal wound every time they landed on the body. Seeing this, General Bailing laughed and said, "Charge." The Bailing soldiers rushed over with knives. Seeing that the big knife was about to fall on everyone. At this critical moment, a deafening roar accompanied by a tyrannical force exploded beside the Bailing people. In an instant, blood and flesh flew, and countless wailing filled the world. Before everyone could come to their senses, they heard, and 4 vultures fell from the sky. A scornful laugh came from not far away. General Bailing's heart sank to the bottom of the valley. The smoke dissipated, and only 3 figures appeared in front of him. The woman in the middle held a dagger he had never seen before, and there was a round hole in front of her. The woman's chuckle came from her mouth. "Heilin Yun, I spared your life a few years ago. I think you have forgotten the pain now that the wound has healed." He Jingheng smiled, exerted force under his legs, and the horse raised its hooves and came. Heilin Yun's eyes fell on his legs. He was terrified. Wasn't He Jingheng's leg disabled? How could he still ride a horse? Could it be that his leg was not disabled at all? Shang Ruai put away the pistol and held a baby in her arms. The baby slept very soundly and was not affected by the sound of the gun at all. Several people rode their horses, and Yuntian's tense nerves finally relaxed slowly. Great, they caught up. His body was overwhelmed and slowly fell down. Heilin Yun watched He Jingheng approach step by step, and beads of sweat unconsciously oozed from his forehead, looking at him vigilantly. "Your legs are not disabled." He Jingheng sneered. "How can you think of crippling my legs? You really overestimate yourself." He Lanyan saw this and took a step back. He Jingheng looked into the distance. There was such a big commotion here, but no one came to investigate, let alone reinforcements. A dark color flashed in his eyes. He Lanyan looked at Shang Ruai, who came back with him, and said coldly, "Did you make the noise just now?" Shang Ruai said nothing. She looked at Yuntian, who was seriously injured, and then looked at the bodies of the brothers in Qinglong village. A hint of red appeared in her eyes. The small pistol turned twice in her hand, and she pulled the trigger suddenly. Before everyone could react, the bullet shot into He Lanyun's kneecap. "Ah!" The big knife in his hand flew away, and he hugged his leg and wailed on the ground. What kind of hidden weapon is this, and it is so terrifying? It was the first time that He Jingheng saw her use a pistol, and he was very curious. This hidden weapon seemed to be different from anything he had ever seen in his life. Yunqi looked normal. After all, he had seen the crown prince's consort holding it and killing people everywhere. The moment Shang Ruai picked up the gun, her temperament had changed drastically. It was like a sharp sword that had been unsheathed, flashing with cold light, ready to give the opponent a fatal at any time. You dare to kill people in front of my He mansion. I think you are tired of living. Shang Ruoyu raised the gun, this time aiming at He Linyun's heart.
Stop.
A man's voice sounded. Everyone looked towards the source of the sound. I saw that Biling Deputy General Wu Shihan was holding a dagger against a woman, and that woman was Hyuni. Shang Ruoyu's pupils shrank suddenly, and she saw that her arm was covered with red clothes, and blood was flowing down. Hyuni's face was pale, and she didn't even wear an outer robe, shivering in the biting cold wind. Hand over what you have in your hand, Wu Shihan said in a cold voice. Otherwise, I will slit her throat. Sister-in-law, don't listen to him. As soon as Hyuni spoke, Wu Shihan grabbed her neck. His hand was very strong. In just a moment, Hyuni felt difficulty breathing and couldn't say a word. Let go. Hand over the hidden weapon in your hand first, otherwise I will break her neck directly. After the words fell, Wu Shihan's men exerted force, and Hyuni's face began to turn blue and purple, and she was about to faint. Shang Ruoyu whispered, "The hidden weapon is for you. Let her